Aye.
Houston.
Aye.
Flores.
Aye.
Luna. Senator Jackson Alexander. Senator Leah Alexander.
Aye.
Barnes.
Aye.
Brock. Brown. Cantwell.
Aye.
Dang. Davis. Senator Dean. Senator De Leon. Senator Dell. Senator Dewberry.
Aye.
Dupuy.
Aye.
Senator Garrett Ford.
Aye.
Senator Garnett. Senator Harmon.
Aye.
Hillen. Senator Hood.
Aye.
Lindsley.
Aye.
Luce. Miller.
Aye.
Mitchell.
Aye.
Murtha.
Aye.
Parks.
Here. Howdy.
Valdez. Senator Wagner.
Aye.
Senator Gracie Wood.
Aye.
Senator Jason Wood.
Aye.
Senator Woolbrecht.
Aye.
Senator Adeyemi. All right, thank you.
We'll now move into the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you just for waking us up for another day. I pray that I just pray that we'll have a productive meeting and that we'll do everything to glorify you. Send your Son down and pass for our sins. And I pray all this in His name. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
We'll now have a mission statement of core values read by Senator Club. Howdy, Senate. The Texas A&M University Student Senate represents all students in order to enhance the Texas A&M experience within our university and communities through research, legislation, and advocacy in accordance with the core values of our institution. The core values are as follows: excellence, integrity, respect, loyalty, leadership, and self-service. Thanks again.
Here you go.
It was right here.
Yeah, I know. I was just so sorry.
I'm made aware of one item for open forum, and that is Terry Cheshire, a political science major representing students in this off-campus resident class of 2014.
Hey. Howdy, Senate.
Hey.
I want to come before you today and say that as someone who has been slandered, has been vilified, has been investigated, the Aggie Honor Code is something that I hold very dear to my heart. And it's something that I hold myself to, and it's something that I ask that all members of the Aggie family, specifically members of the Student Senate, hold themselves to. Unfortunately, I don't believe that has been the case. I'm not going to remark on my past vote of no confidence. I'm not confident that I can actually do that. I'm not confident that I should actually do that. However, I am going to remark on the emails that y'all received during this week from Speaker Uyghur. In this email, she alleged that if you do not attend, you will receive 2 absences. That is categorically untrue. Absences are decided by internal affairs, and the excuse for each absence is weighed according to its merit. She also said that you should have this date reserved already. That is also categorically untrue and patently false. This date was never set up for joint session. To do so would have required amending the Senate bylaws. No amendment to do so was ever introduced, especially at the time that you filed under the election regulations, and it is wrong for someone to use that to manipulate your presence here, especially given that we have finals. It's also not true that we would potentially not be able to register for MSC Open House. It is also not true that we would not be able to have resolutions resolved through judicial court. It is not true that we would not have anyone to assign students to committees, because we could have had an interim and we could assign people all through the fall semester. That's been done multiple years. What I'm seeing right now is a failure to take responsibility. You're not here today because of me. You're not here today because of Kyle Kelly. You are here today because of Hannah Weaver. Because she failed to send out an email on time, because she failed to understand what one. She failed to give out the applications for the people who are here before you for confirmation today. That is why your time is taken away from finals. Members of the exec that are put up for confirmation, that is why you are here today instead of at an earlier date. It is not my fault. It is not the fault of the members of this body. And it is not the fault of your direct superior, Kyle Kelly. I think we have a serious crisis in leadership right here. I think we have a problem when people fail to accept responsibility for their actions. And I ask all of you to consider that today. And my time is expiring. I want to take questions.
I'll start with
Speaker Pro Tem Clinton, did you consider talking to Speaker Weaver about this before going up and defiling her in front of the entire body?
I'll answer your question. Did you talk to me before you considered going before me, the Senate body, and defiling me and slandering me and libeling me with unfounded accusations that have no merit and seeking my removal of the body that sustain my position as Rules and Regulations Chair?
Senator Springer, Chair Springer.
Chair Springer, legislative affairs. Is there anything that you didn't get to that you'd like to?
I want to tell the Senate body that oftentimes I'm accused of playing politics. If there's anything that I've proven, it is that I am not very good at playing politics. I would benefit a lot personally by coming here and giving a feel-good speech, by coming here and giving a popular opinion. Instead, I have chosen to advocate for what I believe is right and what I know is right. And I don't think that's a popular position. But I think the right thing to do is the right thing to do, regardless of the consequence, regardless of how it is perceived.
Thank you, Chair.
Chair Young.
Question to brief with purpose.
Great.
Chair Young, Academic Affairs. But maybe there's not really. Sorry. Anyway, do you know how much notice SVP and Kelly gave the applications for Speaker Weaver to email out? How much, I guess, like leeway she had to get to further relay them?
Right. I don't know for sure from my conversations with members of the executive branch. It was submitted to her at approximately 5 or 6 p.m., at which point she would have had 6 hours to forward an email to this Senate membership. It is not my job and it is not my purview to say why she did not. It is only my official capacity to say that she did not. And that is the reason why we were ineligible to consider them at the last proceedings. And that's not my fault. That is due to the Senate bylaws, which this body elected me to interpret by a 3-4 margin. And that exhausts my time for open forum because it is limited to 3 recognitions, so I will retain my seat.
To answer your question, I received the email at 6 p.m. giving me 1 hour.
Point of order, Madam Speaker. Was a point of information directed to the chair.
No, but I'm going to go ahead and say it's okay. If you'd like to appeal my decision, you may.
Thank you.
So now we're on to executive cabinet confirmation, starting with Mr. David Polsky for Vice President.
Madam Speaker?
Yes.
Chair Young, Academic Affairs. I motion to deviate from the agenda for senators so that we can partake in the voting debate.
Is there a second? All in favor of moving to a period of swearing in new senators, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. All right. Senator Walker, will you come forward, please?
Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Aaron Wolford,
You solemnly swear.
do solemnly swear.
Faithfully execute to the best of my ability.
To execute the best of my ability.
Duties of the office of State office.
Duties of the office of Senator out of veterinary medicine and Department of Science.
The Texas A&M University Student Government Association.
The Texas A&M Student Government Association.
To uphold the honor of the same.
To hold the honor of the same.
At all times to protect the welfare of the student body.
To uphold the welfare of the student body.
Promote good relations between the students.
Promote good relations between students.
And those concerned with the university.
And those concerned with the student university.
moving forward with executive cabinet confirmation, starting with David Colby for vice president.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to make a motion to combine the period presentation.
A motion to combine the period presentation has been made. Is there a second? Yes. All in favor of moving to combine the period presentation for executive cabinet confirmation, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. All right, that passes.
Okay, all right. Howdy.
Howdy.
First, thank you all so much for being here. Regardless of the technicalities, the point is that we're here. I'm very thankful. I'm excited because what we wanted to do was confirm our entire team for exec, or not confirm again, to make a decision on our team for exec to therefore complete the officer positions and for the judicial court in student government as a whole. And so that is important tonight. I'm thankful that you guys are here. I've talked to my team. We're going to be as efficient as possible, but we also want to be very thorough, and so we look forward to your attentiveness and question and answer and just thank you for your time. I wish I could give introduction to each person. We're not going to take time to do that tonight. If you have any questions about the process or any of these individuals, and have not confronted me personally before now, I would love to answer any questions about anything that might concern you. But I'm very excited about each of these people. I've gotten to meet with them personally in one-on-ones over the past 2 days. Could not be more excited about this next year. So I'm looking forward to you guys meeting. Thanks again. Yeah.
Yes, one more.
Hi.
My name is David Golsey, and I am, trying to be the VP of Finance. A little bit about me. Again, I'm David Golsey. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I am a finance, economics, and business honors triple major. I am interested in rock climbing. I enjoy rock climbing, so the third picture is, or we're walking to at least. My roommates and I wanted to start a band called The Guys. The first album's going to be called Hanging With. And I don't have a car, so if I ever come to these meetings ever again, you're not going to see me like this. I'm going to be a big sweat ball. My visions and values. I want unity communication with the Senate. So I know that in previous years or in the past, there have been issues of communication between the executive branch and the Senate, and I don't want that issue at all between me and I know Matt G would be my. I just want there to be great open lines of communication and great friendship and understanding between us and between myself and the executive team and the entire Senate. Internally within the cabinet, I want to remain knowledgeable and proactive with all SGA finances, an advisory role in all financial issues. That's actually an old slide. That was a mistake, so forget that says that. I made a mistake. I didn't understand my position. But externally, I want to do allocation. So I want to expedite and optimize the allocation process. I know that there have been a lot of complaints within some organizations about money, and I know that I just want to make sure that we use everything to the best of our abilities, and I understand previous policy, and I want to make sure that we just, myself and Matt G, work together with the rest of the Senate to make sure that we just do everything to the best of our ability. My experience, my field of study, I said I was a triple major in finance, economics, and business honors. And I'm right now in the business honors recruitment and selections coordinator. I was in the Horizons Consulting Guild, which actually set me up to do a lot of problems that I'm potentially facing with this job. I was involved in profit and cost and having to deal with organizations and understanding where their issues are and being able to help them fix it on a financial basis. I was involved in many SGA committees. I was a big fan. I was the reclap for a bit. I also did Startup Aggieland. So, and again, it's just like Horizons, where in Startup Aggieland, I help people with their financial issues. I help them with problems that I'd be facing in this position. So really that helps me really transition to a job like this. And that's it for my presentation. Thank you very much. Thanks again. Diego.
Here's some Kyle Cook.
Hi, Sid.
Aye.
All right, my name is Kyle Cook, and I am hopefully being confirmed tonight for Vice President of the University of Houston. All right, here's a little bit about me. I'm from Austin, Texas. It's a great place to live. I'm a management and information systems major. Here's some interesting facts. My favorite animal is a wombat. I don't know if anybody else. Wombats are cool. I'm very interested in music, listening to it as well as playing and performing. I've been playing guitar for 10 years and hopefully we'll try to find a career in it later after college. And my favorite food is burnt egg brisket. So here are my vision and values. I'm standing on the fact that I'm going to appoint the best and most qualified committee members. I'm not just resting on the fact that I'm going to put just people that I know or my friends or anything like that. I'll seek recommendations, make committee member confirmations quick and efficient, and do my best to, again, as I said, make sure they are the most qualified. I'll have appropriate and professional accountability with them, purposeful follow-ups. I've dealt with this already. There are people that are on committees that have not done their jobs or have done a poor job of communicating with other people. I'll make it my responsibility to make sure they are upholding what they agreed to do from the beginning of the year throughout the entire semester or both semesters, and just figure out the fine line between not pestering them, but just making sure communicating with them and making sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. I'm going to be approachable. I know that sometimes people see this position, if they're on different committees, difficult to approach or anything like that. I'm going to do my best to form a relationship with them so that they're comfortable approaching me with any questions that they have, any concerns, anything like that. And accessible, available, kind of falls under approachable. I'm going to help my fellow executive cabinet members by, I know the majority of my work will be kind of towards the beginning of the semester when I'm trying to fill all of the positions on committees and stuff. After that is over, it's really, all I really have to do is just kind of follow up and then here and there appoint committee members. But for the most part, the brunt of my work will be at the beginning, so I have the rest of the year to help out as many of the fellow executive members that I have to do their jobs, assist them in any way. And like I said, do it for the fall semester. My experience, I am the previous VP of UComms. I know this, I just recently, back in March or the end of February, got confirmed to be on Reed Joseph's exec team as the VP of UComms. I know it was kind of ceremonial because, like I said, the majority of the work is in July, August, September, a little bit of October. So there really wasn't a whole lot going into it that I thought I was going to have to do, but I ended up having to do a lot more than expected. I had to appoint 5 committee members, so I have the experience. I know kind of how the whole process works. I was the assistant campaign manager for Fly for Yell. It was a very intensive 2 weeks of really scheduling by like a 5-minute basis where all the Yell leaders were going to be. It's very focused. I had to keep up with them, where they were going, get different people there to hold their spots in line, because campaign season's crazy busy, so there's always, you have to hold spots in line. I had to kind of coordinate all of that, which took a lot. I made an Excel file for it, so I'm good in terms of organization. I was the head athletics corporal in my outfit this year. I was in charge of organizing all intramurals throughout the year. I think we had a total of 12 teams that I had to coordinate as far as scheduling, getting people to the games, making sure that they were checking in, fulfilling their duties on the team and stuff like that. Again, a very organizational position. This next year, I'm going to be the athletics operation and flag sergeant of my outfit, which involves, like I said, athletics, but also a lot more of the kind of the structural work of the outfit. As in terms of organization. I was camp counselor, Canada, and fish camp. I know how to deal with people, organizing a group of people. I know I'm not going to be dealing with 7-year-olds, but still, I know what that process is like. And then this summer I'll be a youth and worship intern at a church in Austin. So again, that goes with forming relationships with people, following up with them, seeing how they're doing. That's what my main goal is to be accessible and hold them accountable, but also have a relationship with them, a friendly relationship at the same time professional. So, and that's it. Thanks again.
Howdy.
Howdy.
My name is Emma Douglas, and I am appointed for election commissioner. Okay, a little bit about me. I'm from New Braunfels, Texas, and yes, I do work at Schlitter Lawn. I'm a business honors and management major, and my top 3 favorite movies are Phantom of the Opera, Les Mis, and Mean Girls. Okay, vision and values. Character, integrity, and dedication. Those are my 3 core values. You need to have great character when you're representing Texas A&M or the SGA. Next is integrity. It takes integrity to deal with all candidates equally despite previous friendships or relationships, but that is what we will strive for. And last, dedication. Even if the hours are long and the questions kind of tedious, it takes a lot of dedication to push through and give everyone 100%. That's the goal. As commissioner, I would look to expand awareness through on-campus and online media such as those listed, like increasing Twitter, changing profile pictures, updating statuses more, stuff like that. And also full communication between these 3 bodies. One of these examples could be holding candidate meetings to answer commonly asked questions and have one-on-one question and answer sessions. And also teamwork. I would pick a team with all 3 of my core values, and we look to strive to just give everyone 100% and do our best to our experience. I was on the election commission last year, so I do know the ins and outs of the commission. I do know how to audit expense reports and market the campaigns and so on and so forth. I'm an FBI peer leader for the Mays Business School, which means I do know how to lead, and I've been trained to delegate and work with a partner to reach the best possible outcomes. And I'm the CEO of a company called Eloquent Online, which we do online broadcasting for banks and credit unions. And so I do know how to communicate my ideas and intentions effectively to different generations as well. Lastly, I'm a retail supervisor for Schlitter Water Parks, as I said earlier, and I know how to be the face of a company and be the face of good character for SGA and Texas in this situation.
Thank you.
Howdy. My name is Grace Hewitt, and I am up for hopefully to be the next development commissioner. So, just a little bit about me. I am class 2015 junior from Austin, Texas. I am a political science major, applying to go to law school, and fun fact about me is I didn't go here my freshman year and played softball at a small school. So that's that. For vision and values, I have a lot that I want to do with this position this year. Last year was really a rebuilding year for development commissioner. There's a lot of changes that the last development commissioner, Brandon, wanted to make, and he really set a good groundwork for me to move forward with it. And the values we bring into it is a lot of drive, enthusiasm, and dedication. I'm really excited about the position and the potential that it has. And if you don't know, the campus-wide district campaign, this was started so that we can make our endowment be $1 million so that we become a self-sufficient student government association so that we no longer have to rely on student fees, so that $50,000 is no longer taken from staff and we can be self-sufficient. A lot of that is going to be my life, and so that's my sole, my sole purpose as development commissioner is raising that money as many ways as possible. So in that sense, the campus-wide brick campaign, it is now campus-wide. We're not funneling it at SGA anymore. We really want to make it go all across campus, know that those bricks are for anybody, past, current, or future Aggies, and it's really a cool way to leave a legacy. Aggie Moms Clubs, right now there's about 120 Aggie Moms Clubs in the state, and I'm looking with myself and my team before this time next year to have personally visited and talked to every single one of them. And so it's a large goal, but the way a lot of the people do it is the Yale leaders will go and do 10 in one weekend, the Fort Worth, Dallas area, things like that. It's definitely an attainable goal, and Aggie Mom clubs have so much resources that they just don't use a lot of the time. They're really hidden gems. So I'm looking to do that, and we're looking at 2 possible events to replace the golf tournament. It's going to be a really heavy year for the Development Commissioner with 2 events, but Kyle and I spoke with him actually, and we're really, really excited about the possible events. And then continuing newsletters, promotional items like the hats and the polos and things that you saw, and Brandon's used last year, and then really tapping into our alumni base, maybe helping with $150 a brick, getting a couple big donations from them will really help us reach our goal of $1 million. So for why I think that I'm qualified for this. And I have done a lot of involvement on campus. I've been in SGA. I've been a COSB delegate. I've been in Big Event for the last 2 years. I was in the operations committee on Big Event, which is fundraising and tools. And so most of the year that means fundraising. And so I was a big part of being a part of the $100,000 operating budget that we use. And we raised most of that on our own. We got $11,000 from the student government last year. But the rest of that is raised through donations and the gala that we hold. So I've done galas, I've done silent auctions, I know how to raise money, how to tap into those resources. I also was on the philanthropy committees for my sorority Kappa Alpha Theta, where we raised money for our philanthropy. And I also, I have to put on there, but I am a side wedding planner. So I've done 3 weddings, weirdly enough. Weird because I'm not quite the wedding type, but it's something I kind of fell into when word of mouth spread. So I've done anything from a $30,000 wedding to a $500,000 wedding. So I know how to event plan. I've done it time and time again, and I think that's why I'm very qualified for this. I love student government, and no one likes student fees, so we're excited to get this. So thanks again.
Get it.
Howdy.
Howdy.
My name is Liana Ibanez. Hopefully I'll be confirmed as a diverse condition. Well, a little bit about me. I'm from Mexico. Urban planning major. Something cool about me is that I went to the Olympics. And I think the coolest thing is that I love this university. Some of the visions and values I have to tell you a little bit about this. I have a vision that has come to me because of my experience here. But also I have had some vision that I have been hoping to, like the student body, and especially with Kyle Philly, our student body president, some things he wants to do. So like, I really want to unify this university, and you may think like, how can you unify 50,000 students? That's the same thing I thought. But really, like, I think the only way that you can get into the people mind is by meeting them, by knowing them, and of course you cannot approach a project that you can go to 50,000 different people, but there are activities that can gather people together. One of them are, of course, athletics. I have access to the athletic department. I know everyone. I know, like, really a lot of minorities, Hispanics. I know there's a very different kind of ages. Like, diversity is really everything. I feel it contemplates sex, age, beliefs, religion. I feel really like it's a great opportunity to really give back a little bit of what the PCM has given to me. And also, I want to cooperate with different associations. As I told you, like, I think sports is really like a big thing where, like, I will tell you, like, a lot of people like sports, different ones, and we have like a lot of kinds of sports here. So like I think that's going to be like a big hit for my commission. Some of my experience, well, as I told you, I'm from Mexico. As I told you also, I went to the Olympics, so that gave me a little bit of access to media in my city, access to government, to well, some public relations. And well, I could have like get my name up, right? Like I could have like get some benefits for me from being an Olympian. Well, I see that my city doesn't have Olympic pool, and a lot of kids don't have access to the right sport infrastructure. So what I did with my name was not to get something for me, but was to try to get an Olympic pool for my city. So I made a plan with one of my professors, which I'm urban planning major, and we made a plan of a public Olympic pool, the first public Olympic pool in Celaya. I go to the mayor of my city, he gets 20 million to me after listening to me. I go to the governor, he gives 20 million, and then I go to the legislators, trying to get them together. Sadly, it was a different party than the one the city and the state was. They didn't give the 40 million that we needed. It was a 81 million pesos project. But I promised the city that I was going to get them an Olympic pool. When I say something, when I say that I will do something, I do it. When I tell you I'm going to be involved in it, when I tell you I may not know everything, but I will learn it, it's because I will do it. And I will give an Olympic pool to my city, and I will try to give the best to Texas A&M.
Howdy. My name is Bethany Joseph, and I've been nominated for the Marketing and Social Media Vice President. So a little bit about me. I'm from Springdale, Arkansas, and I'm a business management major. Some interesting facts. I actually don't have a gallbladder. I had it removed in 11th grade because it was diseased and it wasn't working, so it's causing a ton of pain. People say that I have a chipmunk laugh, and you'll probably hear it eventually. People say they hear me before they see me. Kind of a louder laugh. And then also, I took the ACT 9 times. So, as you know, Texas A&M is a really prestigious school, and it's really hard to get in from out of state. And my parents wanted some help financially for scholarships, and so I wanted to put them in the best possible way to help them, and so I needed to increase my score. Well, the last 4 times I got the same score. So, but I'm here and I got the scholarships and I got my out-of-state tuition waivers. So I did that. And I'm proud. So vision and values. Okay, so a little bit about social media and marketing. Is a brand new position. So no cabinet member has done this in the past. So I'm kind of forging my own way here. But as you know, a lot of student body president candidates run on what has SGA done for you. Do you know what SGA does? And a lot of students don't know because SGA's voice is not very loud for 50,000 plus university, 50,000 people. So what we wanted to do kind of with this position is to just kind of change the perspective of SGA as a whole. A lot of things happened last year and a lot of things have happened in the past, and so we just kind of want to change this culture and perspective of what students think that SGA does. Also, so what my position will be doing, we'll be working with the executive cabinet, committees, and then SGA as a whole. So kind of what that looks like. In my vision for this position is I would be honestly working alongside the committees to say, okay, what's your action plan for marketing your applications or your hosts or your committee applications or your events that are coming up? How are you going to do that? So creating an action plan with them and then also coming alongside and helping them. So I'm not really taking away their voice. I would be the one that would just kind of emphasize and help them create what they're needing to project to the student body in all those committees. And we have some great committees here, and a lot of times their voice isn't heard by the dominating SGA committees, and so I'd like to be a voice for those as well. And then attention to action. So this is basically, it's really easy to get attention of the student body if people spread, share, like, whatever they're doing. But it's a different thing to create that action and to create the attention and turn it into action. So that's kind of what my vision is. It's one thing to see it, but it's another thing if we can create action from those so they see that the host application is due September 26th. But then it's also for them to retweet it or for them to apply for that position as well. And then the next one, so kind of my experience, I was a social media manager for the past 2 candidates for student body presidents, and I know a lot of kind of what it looks like to rally and then also create attention and then action. So I did Southwestern Advantage as well with Mr. Carlos Lamka. It was awesome. And so with that, you are marketing yourself and your product to 3,000 people door to door, and you have to have the drive to do that. But you also learn how it is to communicate with people, with moms, with little kids, kind of all in between. And so that gives me a marketing background. I was on Big Event Committee this past year with Gracie Wood in operations, and then the year prior to that, I was on a content committee as well for operations. So that's just a little bit of my experience, and thanks, and giga.
Howdy.
My name is Nina Worsley, and I'm appointed to Public Relations Vice President. A little bit about me. Obviously, my name is Hannah Worsley. I'm a psychology major, sports management minor from Friendswood, Texas. Interesting facts about me. I actually have an identical twin. If you were to see her on campus, you would probably think she was me. We look exactly the same. I've been a horseback rider for the past 14 years. I absolutely love it. That's my first right there. And also, I guess you could say I'm an adrenaline junkie. I love skydiving. Have my second dive planned for the end of this month, and I'm actually a certified scuba diver. So that's pretty cool. So vision and values for my position. Connecting students. There's 3 places where I want to connect the students. To the community. There are things that happen within the community, within city council, within homeowners associations, that actively affect every single student that lives in the Bryan College Station community. How can we work with these city groups to make student life better? Connecting students to administration. Just like within Bryan College Station, things that the administration does affect our students. How can we work with the administration? And then lastly, connecting students to SGA. SGA does so many great things for students, and sadly, so many students don't hear about that. How can we work to make that better? I want to improve SGA's reputation on and around campus. Sadly, I think within the past few years, when students hear about SGA, it's related to something negative. But in reality, SGA does so many positive things. Think about Big Event this year with 20,000 students. How cool is that? They, the SGA committee, the executive cabinet, and everyone else in it in advertising their initiatives. So many great things. Think about Bill, think about reading it. How can I step in and say, what can I do to help you? My experience. In high school, I started and ran 2 nonprofit organizations that actively reached over 5,000 homeless individuals in the Houston area. I'm a class council's member. We make traditions happen. I worked actively with the public relations director this year in branding class council. We completely revamped our brand. And then lastly, I'm the burnout inventory director for 2014. Some of y'all may have heard, I hope, that we are now working with Agazine Outfitters for Marinout this year. I have worked pretty much every day the past couple months with the marketing and communications executive director at Agazine Outfitters. He is so cool, and I have learned so many wonderful things from him about how to conduct a proper PR plan. That's all it. Thanks again.
Well, howdy. Howdy. My name is Jason Wood, and I'm the Vice President of Academic Affairs. English values, political science major, love politics, and so hopefully I can use that in my experience today. So I'm in class of 2014, and woo! been here a while. I'm from Edinburgh, Texas, which is down by the valley. Within that part down, but not too many. And some of my hobbies include camping. Actually, fun story, I'm going to intern in Ohio this summer, and my company gave me a really large moving package, but instead I'm going to be hopping state parks for hopefully $10 a night camping. So, but I'm really excited for that. I also love tennis, and if you want to play with me sometime, please hit me up. Always down for that. I love Jesus. I'm going to give a shout out. And I also love big things. Just some of my vision and values, what this position entails. It's really act as a liaison between students and the Senate, between Senate and administration. And that goes really both ways. From executing bills, I'm the executive branch, you have to execute what the legislation we all pass out. The committee is now the floor, but also introduce, vice versa, introduce some of the ideas that might come from the students or come from the administration to y'all, just so you can create a bill or resolution and just really solidify that student support. So I do think it goes both ways. To work as a team in the executive branch, we really have a huge potential and unique opportunity this year. I feel like there's definitely energy and a lot of people have passion to be unified this year, to work as a team. So I am totally sold on that and really excited to work with y'all, with the exec, and really just work for all of student government. Some of my experience, just as campus involvement, like I said, I've been here 4 years already, so this next year is going to be my fifth. And so hopefully I've got an understanding of how campus works, how student government works, and how they work together. Through FAST, freshman Aggie spring tradition, back in the day, nice shout out for the close. But also fish camp, which David touched on, about how you take however many it is, 150 rowdy freshmen, and I can kind of extrapolate that to student government. It can get a little rowdy sometimes, but to use that, sell them the Kool-Aid to get things done. And also in Pi Kappa Alpha, I would attribute my professional development to Pike. They've just really taught me how to do big things, really, but how to be successful in life and how to work together. And so hopefully I can use those tools next year. Also just an SGA, that's just being the academic affairs chair last year. I hope that I did a good job. I think I did. I'm a little biased, but hopefully y'all see that and you can trust me to continue to do that next year. Just the relationships with the administrators. Last year, I think academic affairs gave me the unique opportunity to be in that position, to work with administrators, to set up meetings with some of the people that actually get stuff done and do execute some of the bills that we passed. Secondly, just relationship with senators. Working with y'all. I know, I'm really excited to work with Rebecca and all of the academic affairs team. And so I think that being that liaison, it really is imperative that you do have that working relationship with all of y'all, and I hope that I do. And I hope that I can continue that next year. And then secondly, just relationship to the cabinet, and finish that up real quick. Obviously, working on the team, it's important that we're all on the same page, and I think just the communication that we've already had started, and just I think that we're going to continue to do that. Thanks again.
Yeah.
All right, howdy.
Howdy.
My name is Colin Kruger, like it says it there, and I am running for the Vice President of Student Services for the next school year. So about me, like I said, Colin Kruger, I'm from College Station, Texas, so this is my home community, so I'm really passionate for Service University because it's my home community as well. Minor. Other involvements, Corps Cadets, Fish Camp Davis last year, Camp Rogers this year. Shout out to Braden, Camp Davis. And Traditions Council. So my vision for next year is keep the students updated with some of the issues we have across campus. Like Kyle Field, such as the 12th Main East bill with $90 in Kyle Field. The end to randomized ticketing in Kyle Field. Also transportation with the changes in the bus routes, parking across campus, all of that. Dining services with the new dining plans, reduced dining plans, only mandatory for freshmen on campus and quarter. So no more required, have plans for people beside that. Just building construction, the West Campus design projects, the reconstruction of Sabisa, and just construction across campus. Also, be a liaison between the administration and y'all at the Senate. And also building a personal relationship with administration and student senate, so I can get the best information possible from administration to relay that to y'all at the Senate, so we can really affect the student body. And act as an advocate for the students, because that's what we're all here for, is to serve the students, and that's a real passion of mine. Some experience I have. This past year, I worked under the Student Service Policy team with Matt Keller. I'm sure a lot of y'all know him. He's widely known. My expertise was internal maintenance, so I worked on a lot of things this past semester. My two big projects were Bonfire Memorial Cleanup. We all know that's a sacred memorial on our campus, and it has not been held to the standards for what it needed to be held up to. And I've been working firsthand with SSC, Mr. Richard Gentry, who was in charge of the day-to-day maintenance of SSC. I worked with him not only the Bonfire Memorial Cleanup, but also the replacement of the plaques in Simpson drill field. We're getting those cleaned up this summer. We're having reissued out there by next November. Or next school year, this November. Also, for cadets, I have the privilege to be the public relations sergeant for the 2014-2015 school year. I'm working under Forrest Allen to be the officer. And that's just something about me. Thanks again.
Yeah.
Howdy.
Howdy.
I'm Drew Williams, and I'm up for VP of IT and Records. Pretty much I'll be doing the web development for SGA. So I'm from Wichita Falls, Texas. I'm a telecommunication media studies major with a minor in business and film studies. It's a little bit of a mouthful, but in the future I'll start a production company. That's pretty much it. Next one. So my vision kind of is a summation of all of theirs. Obviously, I want to connect SGA to students, but through the website. Right now, I think that most students probably learn more about SGA and campaign season from the rundown than they do our website. So, being a more interactive website, I'd like to increase the professionalism of SGA through the website, because a lot of the times, for businesses and organizations, your professionality is your website is an image of the professionality of your organization. And obviously, creative expertise. I do a lot of video production. I've an entertainment business, and I've always been an artist, and so obviously the interface of the website is a big thing as far as being friendly to students. So a little bit of a summation of my experience. Right now I'm involved in the Texas A&M Foundation Maroon Coats, and also I work as a marketing intern at the foundation. What I love about working with the foundation is that, and Maroon Coats, is that what they're continuing to try to do is help students become more aware of what the foundation does as far as raising money for A&M. And also, as Maroon Coats, we're helping students to be, or I guess on the flip side, we're helping the foundation become more aware of what student life is like and what we want. So I'm also involved with 3-day startup leadership counseling through Startup Aggieland. Sounds like I'm trying to sell you something right now. It's because I'm used to minute-long business pitches. And I was a fish camp counselor freshman year. Also involved with Flip, with Close, and I run 2 independent businesses. I'm a videographer and I run a DJ business. I've done some web development with those, and my dad out with his business with web development. So quite an entrepreneur, and web is a big yeah, that's it. Thanks again.
Howdy, Senate.
Howdy.
I'm up for legislative relations. VP, my name's Braden Kidd. Last one from exec. You have to hear. I'm a about to be a senior here in a couple days, political science major. Also getting my master's in public service and administration from the Bush School in their 5-year degree program. From Border, Texas, and one thing that I've learned from working around in the Texas state capitol, you never know who you're going to see, if it's that, sorry, excuse of the mascot, or Riley Sawyers and about a dozen rattlesnakes crawling around the rotunda from the A&E hit show Rattlesnake Republic. Something I value, something that's very valued is the voice for the student body. When you go in to meet with legislatures, something that carries a lot of weight is saying that you represent 58,000 students, so just giving them a voice. The vision I have is to create a team of very dedicated people, dedicated to the students, dedicated to their work. Very professional, obviously, just because of the people we'll be dealing with. And I want us to provide that voice for the students in a very highly informed way, so that we can say, here's what the students want and here's why, and be able to counter any argument they have for us. Another vision I have, or a goal, is really just to see something that's really important to the students, make it all the way through the legislation process and become an actual bill. Some experience I've had, I've worked in legislative relations for 2 years. Last spring I got to go to Austin quite a bit to advocate for the students, and then last year with Connor's help we got a lot of research done, just trying to prepare for this upcoming legislative year, whatever we thought we'd be dealing with for this year. I interned in the state senate last summer with Senator Kel Seliger. He is the chairman of the higher education committee, so we'll be dealing with him a lot. I've got to shadow a lobbyist in Austin, and then I've been involved in Fish Camp, Big Event, Costco, LR, and class councils, which is really where my passion for serving students stems from. So thanks, and Gingham.
Yeah.
Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Senator Harmon Hopkins. I move to combine the question.
A motion has been made to combine the questions for the period of question and answer and debate. Be combined. Is there a second? Say aye. Yes.
There's a new motion to combine the period of question and answer, or
Yes.
combine the question.
Combine the period of question and answer. My knowledge, that is what I'm hearing. Speaking correctly. Okay, so then yes.
Did you say that?
Okay, so, like I said before, go to the board, like I said. So, is there a second to combine the period of question and answer? All in favor of the combine the period of question and answer, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
The chair calls are on division. If you're in favor of combining the questions, please say aye.
Point of order, Madam.
Aye, please stand. Okay. All opposed, please stand. So the period of question and answer and thus the period of debate will now be combined. So if the candidates would like to come down, then we will start period of question and answer.
One other information.
Yes.
Okay. How much time is that in total for?
That is 55 minutes.
Please stand in order.
Point of information, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Senator Aguirre moved to combine the period of question and answer, but you stated that both question and answer and debate would be combined.
When you combine the period of question and answer, you essentially are combining that total. So that also combines the period of debate.
Thank you.
Okay.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Where in the Senate bylaws or other rules does it say that you combine period of debate and question?
That is the ruling that I have made personally. After the meeting, you have acted upon. But if you can put anything in writing saying that that's not the case, then I would like it. Otherwise, I'm going to move forward with that because that has been the status quo since.
Point of information, Madam Speaker?
Yes.
Are you thinking of when you combine debate, you combine the vote?
Okay, so in the past, when somebody has moved to combine the period of question and answer, they're essentially combining it to one candidate total. So that means when you debate, you're debating for or against this whole group. So when we make a vote, you're voting for or against, and that's what we've done in the past. I asked the Rules and Regulations Chair, we found something different, and that's fine. We'll move forward with that interpretation.
Thank you.
Okay, so until then, we'll move forward. All right, so question and answer will begin with recognition from Chair Cheshire left the room. So Senator Luce.
Senator Luce, I'll canvas. My question is directed at the nominee for VP of Finance. As we know, in the past, there was some controversy between Senate and Exec in regards to committees not turning in their financial reports for several months at a time. Some committees claimed that they didn't know how to fill out a financial report. So what steps would you take to make sure that committees know how to fill out the financial reports and to enforce them to actually turn them in?
Yeah. Senator Lewis brings up a good point. I think people not knowing how to fill out reports or filling out any kind of paperwork is a big issue. And if that was an issue in the past, it needs to be fixed in the future. So I would say initially, right off the bat, with the initial meetings with committees, I would say having an educational meeting first and foremost, right at the start of the year. The education on how to fill out every different part of paperwork, every different part of the whole financial process. So that way, at that point, the financial issue, the onus is on them. It becomes their responsibility to have the correct paperwork, to have the correct response to every issue that comes up. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Okay, or the second part was, how would you enforce them to actually turn it in so that they would go 4 or 5 months at a time without,
Yeah, and that's something. That's probably something I could work on if I were given the position with Matt G. But the senators as well. I know you and I had spoken earlier about in the past, like in this past year, they withhold funds. That sounds like a potential option for the future. Again, Matt, G, and I would potentially work on that and how we go through the whole process.
Senator Gore.
Withdrawn.
Senator Miron.
Howdy, Senator Maronoff, Engineering. SVP Kelly, can you explain the roles of the diversity and development commissioners a little bit more? Because I'm not sure I understood them.
Yes. So Senator Maronoff, the diversity, first of all, they've become commissions. And so we used to kind of have commissions and vice presidents. The first thing I did with the structure of the cabinet, as I mentioned at our last Senate meeting, was to make them true commissions to kind of focus on programming and events specific to each rather than the rest of the cabinet, which primarily is policy. So that's the first distinction with both of them. So development. Development's with the development of SGA. One of the things that I talked about when being confirmed as executive vice president is our endowment. And that's something that we're very excited about. It's a $1 million endowment, currently at roughly about $200,000. If that is fully capacity, then we no longer need that $50,000 that we were allocated. Student government would be self-sufficient based on the interest from that endowment. That's something we're very excited about. So that financially is something we want to work towards. Gracie talked a little bit about a couple of events. We, as I mentioned, I've had one-on-ones with each of these individuals over the past 2 days, and we're very excited about some events that we actually want to keep under wraps right now because we want, when we kind of do come out with those, by way of social media, for there to be excitement about this. We don't want to communicate them until they're planned, essentially, but we are not going to have a golf tournament as we're moving forward right now. We're going to move into other things that have been proven to be very successful financially. And so it's with the development of SGA. Brandon has a great foundation, partnering with the association and the foundation, and I can give more description if necessary, but diversity. So diversity, I ran on the idea of the Aggie experience, and really everything that I ran on was genuinely true of what I would like to do this year. And one of the things that I was so impressed with Lily about is she comes, of course, from a diverse background. She's done some very phenomenal things. I'm also extremely excited just how she has shared, as she mentioned, she's an Olympian, but one of the greatest things is her love for Texas A&M and her experience here. That is exactly how I view diversity. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter your beliefs. It doesn't matter all the different aspects of diversity. She mentioned that we are Aggies. This is Texas A&M, and I want everyone to have the same opportunities, and I want everyone to be included into this Aggie family. That's how I view diversity. There have been programming initiatives in the past. We still will have those, but it ranges from policy issues that are brought up here to also just bringing in different areas of campus, and I mean that even goes for say grad students. I met with the student government in Qatar, so it's very broad. But I would just say inclusion is a great word to describe it, and it's all about being part of the experience.
Okay, Senator Gordon.
Withdraw.
Senator Marinov.
Howdy, Senator Marinov, Engineering. Can you explain the difference between the marketing VP and the PR VP? Because I'm not sure I understood that either.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'll be fast this time. So marketing and media. Well, no, let's start with PR. PR is a very big position. As I sat down with one-on-ones, I began to kind of realize the scope of each position in that each job, if exercised to its full potential, is extremely large. First of all, with PR, we are combining two positions from our cabinet this past year, both with campus relations and community outreach. And so you have everything from connecting with campus in a variety of ways to also connecting with the city on different initiatives. I don't know specifics, but I've heard, as we've seen in the past, there's some kind of anti-student, if you will, legislation in city councils and in different things. It's everything ranging from that to homeowners associations off campus. So essentially, it's communicating and working with, connecting us today with campus and community. So it's if you're familiar, it's both Will Penman and Hudson Hoyle combined. Marketing and media. And so Bethany has been appointed. She's had great success really in communication in general, but also with marketing and media. I like the way that she talked about attention and action. One of the things that we want to do, as was also mentioned, is I know that we have positions within the Student Senate for Student Senate. So you guys have Twitter. You'll have, I'm not sure if you have a Facebook page, but nonetheless.
We do.
We do. Okay, good. SJ had one too. I had no idea. Essentially what we want to do is use that Facebook page to kind of create social media infrastructure to be able to communicate, of course, good things that are going on with exec, retweet things that are going on with Student Senate, or re-communicate, if you will. So we don't want to take anything away from y'all's infrastructure, but more so add to. And the same goes for our committees that are one of the most marketable parts of, the most marketable parts of student government are those committees and all the different things that they do and accomplish. And so they're very, very distinct. Social media, and then there's a marketing component as well. And that could be, even by the way, at our next MSC open house. We're going to have 3 tables, which each branch will be represented. Marketing would be, having those cool pop-up signs that kind of explain very easily what we do and kind of how we interact with students. So just having tools, again, I've kind of mentioned, much like a business, to communicate and to really get the attention of, and therefore create action. We want student involvement for them. We're going to go to them first, but we want them to engage with student government as well in those ways. Is that a good description?
Thank you.
Okay, Senator Chair Bell.
Chair Felder, Community Relations. This is directed towards discovery. Do you have any public relations experience specific to the foreign culture area?
Yes, I've worked with Eric Printer at CAS, and then not only the foreign culture area, but I've had contacts with every major studies association, so Houston Chronicle, ABC, pretty much everywhere. So I haven't had as many contacts in foreign culture as I'm probably doing. Senator Gordon. Senator Gordon.
This is directed to Ms. Olivia Manes. I spoke to you earlier that your lack of experience is a little bit concerning to me. What would you do that? What would you have planned exactly if you were to be selected as diversity commissioner?
Well, I understand your concern, and I understand the advantage of what I'm discussing. But really the reason why I applied for the position is because I never thought I was going to speak to the Senate, but I have spoken to the people. So I know I didn't think you need to be part of before 8 SGA cabinets in order to know how being a student, an international student, and really the experience that I have had is amazing. And I know about people that doesn't have the same experience as me. So like really like what I want to do is to give the opportunity to everyone.
Senator Ron.
Thank you. Sorry, Senator Ron. Okay, this is for Ms. Douglas. So you talked a little bit about having workshops with potential candidates for things. So how would you potentially have a workshop to teach potential new senators what they would be coming into?
So how would I have a workshop?
Or like, how would you reach out to potential new senators or people, candidates who think they want to become new senators?
First of all, you would have to market towards them so that they know about the campaign and know about what positions are open, and probably have an open forum which they can come to and ask them specific questions they have. And we can probably just work through like a John Smith candidate and show them step by step the process that they will have to go through, answer the commonly asked questions, like auditing, stuff like that. You just go step by step through with them so they understand fully, and afterwards they can come talk to me with any questions they have. Because talking in person is a lot easier than so we can also email afterwards. Does that answer your question?
Senator Mitchell.
Senator Mitchell off campus. My question is also directed at Ms. Douglas. I'd like Kyle to address this question as well after. My question is pertaining to elections and the SVP endorsing candidates. Do you believe that is a conflict of interest for the SVP who is overseeing you, who is overseeing fair elections, to endorse somebody you'd like to win? And the second part of the question, and the third time as well, is would you advise the SVP not to endorse him? And the third part is, would you feel uncomfortable being the election commissioner when the SVP has endorsed?
The first part of the question, it did say that in endorsement regulations that the SVP specifically cannot use this office to endorse, but as an individual, he has every right to promote anyone he wants to, as long as he doesn't use the office to do so. So, you know, President Joseph couldn't, but Reed Joseph could. That makes sense. What was the second part?
The second part of the question is, would you advise the SVP not to use things like maybe the SVP Twitter account to endorse candidates or, you know, SGA function, SGA entities to endorse candidates?
For, if it is the TAMU SVP account, I would advise against it because it's dangerous. If it's just a random SVP account, then I mean, that's not an obligation. And then I wouldn't advise, I trust him to make the right decision. And then what I feel comfortable is who he endorses. If he chooses to endorse someone using his office, that does not affect me in my job. My job is to regulate fairly and use my character and integrity to treat everyone equally despite any relationships with people I might have or endorsing. So I look at everyone as candidate A, and I don't look at them as who I am.
Senator Jones.
Senator Jones, both sides. My question is for Gracie. You talked about in your PowerPoint.
Point of order, was the question also directed at SVP Kelly?
I'm sorry, you said it.
Was the question also directed at SVP Kelly?
Are you talking about the former question?
Senator Mitchell's
You're
question.
not given a chance to.
Oh, okay, I'm so sorry. Yes, go ahead.
Emma gave actually answered much better than I could have, believe it or not. But I thought that was very thorough. Granted, and I think by my interpretation, to answer your question specifically, no, I would not use anything SVP related, including the SVP Twitter. As an individual, it is something that is, my right is not stated otherwise to endorse. I would tell you with every decision I make, including appointments, everything I do and everything I say, it is something that I do with great respect and something that would be very, very well thought out. And again, one of the things that, as we go on, because we've actually talked about this issue in person before, I would continue that precedent and would be really open to hearing what you guys would think about that. But ultimately, I would make the decision on whether I personally would endorse, but I would not use anything that is related to being sued by the Thank you.
Yes, Senator Judge Science. My question for Gracie. You talked about your PowerPoint replacing the golf tournament. What do you have in mind for replacing it?
So we're, as discussed and with SVP Kelly, we're looking at a couple of options right now. So we're trying to find feasibility, and we want to do. Sometimes it takes an event to establish itself, become successful, and so today we just spoke about in his office options that would be successful right off the bat, and then could also build tradition-wise and help just also the image of SGA. And so we are looking at a bunch of different options, holding an event in the fall and in the spring possibly, as that is the development commissioner's sole responsibility. That's definitely doable on our part, and we're excited to make that happen. And we're looking at things like galas and a couple of other things. We have one exciting idea. We're trying to look at the feasibility of it, so we don't want to release it yet, because if it's possible, we want to release it big and get the hype up so that it can be the most successful event possible. Cheerio.
This is just to look for you, as the LR person, and your responsibilities to lobby for student interest and also relevant legislative affairs bills for us, how would you resolve, for both of you, any potential conflicts in like your personal interest on the political subject when the bill student senate passes and things of that nature?
That's a big question. Obviously, we're here for the students, so anything that is in the students' opinion, that's what we're going to go advocate for. Someone on my team, if they're opposed to it, I don't have to send them to advocate, but also on my team, they would make, I think that makes a good, I don't know, devil's advocate, if you will. We can bounce ideas off each other, find the best way to go advocate for the students.
And what Braden said, I'll tell you, and I haven't had the chance to talk about each specific criteria that I've had for each position as the individually for the role, but also for the county as a whole. But one of the things for this position specifically I talked about, and Braden could cite this, was one, I definitely wanted to see experience in position, and not is how Braden. I wanted to see that there would be connections so we'd be able to advocate effectively, and that goes for a variety of things. The second thing I said was trust. And that's not trust that he would do what I would want him to do, what he would do, even particularly what any individual in this room would want him to do, but that he would advocate for the student body and then for the student body opinion. Our opinion on certain matters is irrelevant, and that's something that I would gladly answer to, both to y'all and to the student body, that what we would advocate for would be for their best interest, but by their student opinion. In any way necessary possible for us to reach out and make sure that we most accurately have that, I think would be incredibly necessary, and that is part of what we work together. So to answer your question, there is certainly a separation from what we personally believe and would act on, and what we would act upon based on what's right for our position as representative of the student body.
Senator
Howdy, Senator Marinoff, Engineering. This is for the LR position. You stated in your PowerPoint that one of your goals was to make sure that at least one bill that's useful to the student body passes this body. Were you trying to imply that the previous session did not do any such thing?
Thanks, Senator. To your last spring when we worked, nothing that we actually went to advocate on actually made it through the full process. A lot of,
a lot of bills made it through. Obviously, just nothing through the Texas legislature that we personally worked on and went to advocate for. So I'd like to see something, something that we actually are a part of, make it completely free.
Okay.
Senator Sonica, College of Engineering. This question is for Ms. Joseph. Permission to preface.
Yes.
Okay, cool. This summer you had a blog that I was never invited to read, but was shared so profoundly by your followers. I want you to talk about briefly, how you would use the same skills that had so many people ready to share your blog in disseminating ideas to the student body, and why that makes you the best person for this job.
So just kind of going off what he said, I had a blog for what I learned while working for Southwestern in Virginia, and kind of like the life lessons, things that the Lord taught me, fun moms that I met, and I think a lot of it had to do with like crazy stories. I got my car stuck in a ditch, and the person came and helped me, just really fun things like that. And I think a lot of it had to do with it wasn't like boring, monotonous things that they could read on other blogs. It was interesting, and that's what captures attention. And so when you market, it always has to be just a tad bit different than everyone else, or it's just going to be, if it's overdone, then it's just kind of like it's not even there. So to make sure that what we're giving them is like relevant, true, but also like interesting, fun things. Like we were talking about when I was meeting with SVP Kyle, he was talking about maybe having like 1 week of a new tradition that a lot of students wouldn't know, because a lot of students know like the main ones, but maybe not some of the smaller ones. So does that answer your question at all? Okay. Okay, Senator Luce.
Senator Luce, August. My question is directed at Senator Wood. Senator Wood, in the past session and in the past few weeks, there has been some controversy, I guess we'll say, between you and different members of the Senate. And something that SVP Kelly talked about is really fostering relations between Senate and exec. So as a member of exec, how would you reach out to senators that maybe you rubbed the wrong way, I guess?
Yeah, well.
Senator Grayson.
That I think that student needs is one thing that we can all agree on, and that we don't want to do more. And that is what my job is. My job as a student senator, I really felt as if I was here as a voice of the student body, and I know I represent that. And I mean, I know that in some times there was a lot of more controversy than I would have liked, and I do wish that that's not the atmosphere in Senate anymore. But in this position, I really am trying to help Student Government Association as a whole, and it would benefit Student Senate, it would benefit the Executive Cabinet, it would benefit all 14 committees. As being a self-sustaining, self-sufficient SGA really doesn't hurt anybody. And it helps all the students on campus knowing that they don't have to pay student fees to student government, and that's my goal. And I know that if even people that maybe haven't seen eye to eye with me this last year in this room, that's a goal for them as well. And I'm really willing to bring that goal and succeed with it. So.
Thank you.
Senator Witt.
Withdrawn.
Senator Abid.
Senator Abid, College of Science. My question was for both Senator Woods. Now this is for male senators. So your time in Senate, from what I kind of gathered, was a little less controversial. And so how would you work to kind of, with your new role in the executive branch, work to unify the Senate and exec? Because I know that's been kind of something that's been an issue.
Yeah, great question. I would just say, I mean, first and foremost, if you are, I hope what I did last year is we actually, were productive. Committee meetings or different bills we had, we were productive. So taking, the legislation passed to the administration and actually, making sure those go through. I think if people, senators, students, and administration alike, see that we're actually, accomplishing what we set out to, or accomplishing what is expected of us, then people would jump on board and want to be part of that. So that's really huge to accomplish that unity. I think I was talking to some administration in the last meeting before the school ended, and they said it's really crucial to start, to hit the ground running for next year. So transition is a big part of that. And so hopefully, with my experience in student government and Rebecca's as well, that can definitely be accomplished, and I'm so confident.
This question is for Mr. Joseph. So how do you plan on productive law and also how do you plan on increasing the social media presence from the executive cabinet?
For the executive cabinet, that's a good question. So I would say that first and foremost, we don't have right now a Twitter account for the exec, and it could be a great way for, I know that Tim's SVP account right now is a lot of what Kyle will be doing, so like spoken to Mom's Club today, or I'm going to talk to this flow, or whatever that is. And so that's kind of more his personal, but there's not one of like what's going on in executive cabinet. So I would say creating a now Facebook, I'm not sure how many people would even like an executive Facebook, so I'm thinking more of taking over the role for the SGA Facebook account and increasing that, increasing the people that are following that, and then also doing the same thing for the SGA Twitter. So maybe creating 2 Twitter accounts, and then coming alongside, because I know that SGA has one. So, does that answer your question? Okay. Senator Walbert.
Senator Walbert, college Batman. Mr. Kruger, how do you plan on balancing your activities as well as Vice President of Student Services?
That's a very good question. One thing I've learned through the core dance is great time management. I've been involved in many things across the years, and I just find a true passion, and the core dance has taught me to keep my priorities in mind. And that's one thing that I'm sure you might do through your core experience, is finding what takes priority for you. And I believe that my role as a public relations sergeant from core staff is a big role, but this is also a very big role. So I feel that balancing those two will be a challenge, but I believe that I'm motivated enough. Like I said, this is my home community. So dealing with anything with College Station, with the Texas A&M students, is an extreme passion of mine, and I believe that through balancing both, I can do that pretty well.
Senator Broderick.
Senator Broderick calls it back. This is for Ms. Douglas. So, permission for questions? In the past year, working with the Election Commission, there was some discrepancy for file violations, whether or not they were addressed. There was really no way to know if someone filed a violation, whether it was either addressed or what action was taken on that violation. So what would you do to kind of increase the transparency in that regard, so that someone filing a violation would know when the violation was heard, what action was taken, and whether they thought it was perfect, so that they would be able to, if they saw fit, take the case to jail?
Okay, so the question you're asking is, if candidate A files against candidate B,
yes,
do you want candidate B to know that there's a violation as well?
Candidate B should be notified anyway, but candidate A, how would they know what action was taken?
That's actually out of your first question. So if you were asking for, if she asked for clarification.
Yeah.
Then that's, okay, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Clarification is, if candidate A files a complaint against candidate B, what response would candidate A get, knowing what action was taken on that violation? As in whether a fine was assessed or it was not assessed.
You can put in violations anonymously. If you put it anonymously, there's no way I can contact the person who put it in. So I can't, obviously, that. But if they put in their email and their phone number, email, something like that, then I am allowed to contact them and let them know how to process it. So to answer your question, by not putting in violations anonymously,
Judicial, my question is directed at Mr. Polsky, SPP Kelly. Richard, preface, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, go ahead.
All right, so at the last meeting, I gave my beloved speech to Chair G, and really preferred. So I would just ask both of y'all, will you commit to complying with the SG allocation agreement, various committees, and Chair G in the process of forming these committees, allowing them to conduct.
Well, I'll go first. And I'm new at this job, if I got it at least. So there's a lot of things that you said in that question that I didn't really understand the full context of what you're talking about. But I will say that I will commit to working the best of my ability to make just whatever Senate has for me to do. So if that's going to be focused on, I will commit to working with my team the best of my ability.
Good. Sure. Yes, is the answer. We will commit.
Yeah.
Everyone and I've just quickly referred to the cabinet structure. So, of course, we have student treasurer finance. We have Randy Williams, who is over, kind of the commissions and our financial team. We also have Drew Williams, who's in charge of IT and records. And so what we're hoping to do, the reason I've combined that position, each of them individually is not really significant, but combined, we have a lot to do with IT infrastructure, but also we want to make sure the website is first and foremost easy for students to input information or to more so to get feedback from students, but also hoping that is kind of the interface between our two branches. And so it's extremely easy, extremely transparent that all of our exec reports, all of our documents necessary will be on that website. So that's why we're combining records and IT. We're going to be perfect in that regard. So thank you, Mr. Cole.
Senator Walker.
Rise on the phone.
Chair Springer.
It's wrong.
Chair Sosa.
Chair Sosa, constituency affairs, this is directed at Senator Wood. Senator Wood, the information and press reference to the amnesty.
Yes.
Last year we kind of worked on the Stand-on Vending Machines Act. Considering that's one of the things you're digging into when you run your AA. Is that something you commit to working on as a priority, maybe for as Vice President of Finance this coming year?
100%, yes. When I applied, and I think the applications go out, that was one of my main, there was three things. It was to work and try to get Google Fiber, the Stand-on Vending Machine bill, and then it was also to work on some of the traditions about academic fairs, and to keep those solid and concrete. So definitely that's one. I also ran on, I was definitely in a pretty great position where a lot of things that we worked on at the end of the year, they have to go through the executive cabinet and then, onto administration. So I've been just getting a great, unique opportunity to be able to personally, the bills that I was personally invested in last year and in the last term, again, I have the ability to be personally invested and to see them through. And so I think that even just could be, it's 100%, top priority to see that through. And I just think it's great. Again, I'm looking forward to working with you next year for sure.
Thank you.
Senator
Senator Flores, North, this is actually directed to Mr. Williams. You mentioned you have experience handling a website. However, the websites, most websites through A&M are handled to the A&M exclusive programming, I believe it's called Drupal. What sort of experience do you have with such system?
None of the A&M system, and that's one thing that I'll be working with SVP Kelly about is where our limitations of using third-party sources and communicating between those, just because it's easier for students. But I do have several friends that I plan on teaming up with who are more familiar with that interface.
Mr. Cook, could you remark a little bit on the changes that you would like to make for the diversity committee's position? from the previous administration, political life, or you and everything else?
Right. Well, from my understanding, Logan was very deeply involved in Greek life, and there was, I guess, a lot of people that were involved in Greek life, very concentrated on the committees. So one of my first things would be to make sure I definitely spread out as much as possible. It won't be concentrated in one area. I have plenty of involvement on campus. I know a lot of different people from different areas, so that would be my first thing, to make sure that it was very spread out, representative of the entire university. Another thing is the accountability process, not just focusing on making sure, or like getting reports from meetings or anything like that. The committee meetings, like where they go, what they're doing at the meeting, getting a report, but also making sure that they are actually having the meetings, because that is also something that I experienced at least to the last month and a half. I contacted all the committee members and received a few emails back in response, and I would say around 4 or 5 of them sent back saying, listen, I have not really done much on my committee, and I haven't heard from whoever's supposed to be running this thing. So I would really enforce the accountability as far as when they're meeting, basically finding out the schedules of the meeting times of the committees, making sure people are going to it, and then also filing reports, finding a way to make filing reports better, be it online, public, so that people can know what's going on in this committee. That answers your question. Thank you.
Senator Wood.
Withdrawn.
Yeah, Senator Allen.
Senator Allen, Corvette. Mr. Trigger, earlier it was remarked that both Corps Population Sergeant and this office would be kind of a big job. But how do you think they'd be able to work hand in hand together? And how do you think working in a job in Corps might actually be more benefit to this office?
Well, very good question, Senator Allen. As you know, you're yourself as a PR officer. So, as you know, well, me and you can work together. You're a student senate. Hopefully that'll be so. Working both public relations with the Corps cadets and also executive cabinet with student government, I feel that I can take how the Corps is viewing you, or how the university views the Corps, how the public relations that we can, public relations that issues that we have with the Corps, and I can take how the Corps can be involved in the university along with student services. Members of the Corps cadets are students here, and student services is over the entire Corps part. It's over the entire student body. So I believe that my input on how the Corps cadets view certain things is helpful to student services, because it's the majority of the students, and the Corps cadets makes up a rough estimate of about 2,500 students at the university, and that is a voice that needs to be heard in executive cabinet. So I believe that on my position on the Corps staff, I can take kind of the core student voice and bring it towards executive cabinet, just as you can do bring it to student senate.
Clear G, Finance. This is directed at Mr. Polsky. So I hear a lot of rhetoric about communication and being effective with that. What are some of your specific deliverables for each of your disciplines, and how are you feeling today?
Well, first of all, I think the main form of communication between you and the Senate would be you, specifically. So I would say being able to set up meetings with you. I know we already had a conversation about meeting sometime before school breaks, so that we can get to talk about that. And as far as the actual job position goes, I believe that most of my contacts will, again, be with you as well, and that's the best of my knowledge. And so I would say that being able to have an open line of communication with you, having your number, calling you, emailing you, that way you and I both feel comfortable coming to each other with any kind of issues, with any kind of conflict, or even resolutions that we may have. So that's the best way I can answer that question.
For me, the job this year potentially is really big. We're really excited about it, and I know that I don't necessarily have a counterpart. I'm a commission, so I don't necessarily have a counterpart in the legislative body, but I know that with our big event fall and spring, hopefully that's the route we decide to go. Student Senate is an integral part of the Student Government Association, and so staying in constant communication, whether it's be speaking at open forum about that upcoming events, getting senators involved in those, because Senate, as much as anyone else, has an invested and interest in furthering the endowment of Student Government Association. And with that, just keeping involved, Brandon Valenta, the former Development Commissioner, just a few weeks ago to the 66th session, did give y'all a presentation about his year, all of the goals that he met, just the restructuring of the position that he succeeded in. And so, obviously, I would perform the same presentation, but just staying in communication, and obviously, SVP Kyle and his executive reports will give updates about my doings as a development commissioner as well. And so, with the BRIC campaign and the 2 events that we might run, and the newsletters and other things, there's a lot of good media and good press in there that we're going to want Student Senate to be a part of and help us to grow, as it will be the first year for a lot of it this next year.
Chair Fuller, Commissioner briefly preface, Madam Speaker. I'm sorry, Commissioner briefly preface. Yes. Okay, so in this past year, the former development commissioner did this ordering polos for people in SGA. And I know personally I'm a huge supporter of apparel, so would you be interested in possibly initiating something like that, like for fleeces or like comfort color t-shirts or something like that?
Definitely, and we actually discussed this earlier today. I'm looking at possibly broadening our horizons with that as well. And we definitely, the polos are a great way to be identified at table hours and things like that for senators, but a lot of hats, fleeces, and apparel are very popular in our organization. They can do the same. We're also considering bringing in the other logos, so putting the other logos of the committees and like connecting them with SGA more, making the fact that they're a part of SGA more well known and connecting them as a whole, so that when we market all of it, we'll be more successful, because instead of just an SGA logo, we might have all of them together, and it will really help all of the committees want to be involved in as well, because it is their logo.
Is there any more questions?
This is for Mr. Kolsky here. First preface. Has been brought up in the past that since not an entire final application is given out, that we may suffer a cut in funding because of that. What would be something that you would be able to work with or doing that?
Okay. Well, again, I said I'd be new to this job, so that's something that I could work with Matt G. I know that this year specifically, not all the records have come back, for example, how much each individual organization has spent. I'm not going to outright say that you should spend all $50,000, because I think that would be something that would be, just saying that a blanket statement like that would not be responsible. However, I think it's important to make sure that everything is allocated efficiently. I think that Matt and I could work together to do something along those lines.
Is there any more questions? Now the creative question answer complex. There's an motion for debate, so which basically means that each individual candidate will be individual in debate. So is there a second? All in favor of having debate, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Call for your own debate.
Point of order, Madam Speaker, it's not necessary as per the Senate bylaws to have a motion for debate. Debate itself is just should.
Okay, so that's the case, and that's what we will do. All right, so moving forward, we'll start debate, and candidates, please exit the room. That would be great. So we will have a 15-minute period of debate total, so 2.5 minutes per recognition. So whether that's for or against. So once everybody exits the room, we'll get ready to go.
Point of information, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Is that 15 minutes per each nominee?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Senator Hopkins, motion to combine debate.
There's been a motion made to combine debate. Is there a second? All in favor of combining debate, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Madam Speaker, I move to reconsider and enter on minutes.
Okay. Please say aye. The motion has been made to reconsider and enter in on the minutes. Who's that?
Point of information.
Yes. Please.
What does that mean?
Basically, it's, to my knowledge, it's reconsidering the motion as a whole. So the motion.
No, point of order, Madam Speaker,
That's actually how it works.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Motion to reconsider and enter on the minutes is on the motion to combine the question and period for debate.
Yes, that's what I said.
So, the only thing that happens is that it's delayed until the next Senate meeting, in which case, if these people were confirmed or not confirmed, regardless, it would be deemed out of order to be brought up. It
Yes.
does not require consent.
Okay. All right. So, sorry. Make sure this is correct. We're moving forward. You're saying it doesn't require a second?
If it does, I can get it.
I'm trying to see if it's a debatable motion.
It's not a debatable motion.
Do you have that in writing, please? From what I'm reading here, it does require a second, and the ability to debate actually says varies. This is directly on your placard, both the bottom grid.
Point of information, Madam Speaker,
Yes.
the placard says governing document.
No, they're from Robert Rules, which
Point of
are.
information, Madam Speaker.
I have not recognized you yet. So no, they are not the governing documents, but it is a helpful guide. Am I waiting on him to give a response? Yes. So that was beautiful. Anyway.
Does the motion read reconsider or reconsider an interim minutes?
I believe I see reconsider the motion. You said, which it was, you said reconsider the motion and enter it on the minutes. So once again, I'm looking for clarification. So if you can provide that, that's what I do. I'm not going to make a ruling without particular right. Okay, so I'm asking you to find it for me in writing. So you can proceed. You have it.
Yes.
Okay, please take a copy.
Point of parliamentary inquiry, I'm a little unsure about how to go about this, but it seems like some candidates won't have debate on them, and so if we combine it for everyone, it seems like it actually might extend the period of debate as a whole. So how could I, move to where we would not combine them in order to save time?
Okay, so right now we're dealing with one particular motion.
Okay.
So once we go one by one. So we're dealing with the second motion that is made about a filter motion. So we'll deal with this. Once we figure that out, we go back to the original. Then you can use this.
So then I move.
However, your question is, if say these were combined, right? Then all 11 would be combined, so it would be one giant total.
Right.
And so, however, you would be debating in that case either for all 11 or against all 11. So it's one vote. Make sense?
Yes.
Yes, please say
How long would that actually be?
if I'm correct, it's only 15 minutes still. Okay, so we're fine.
Oh.
Okay, thank you.
If we did 15 minutes first, it would
Please
not.
start.
I mean, it would not. Most people would just move to previous question. Yeah, no, I mean, what I didn't realize is you combine and use pilot time when you combine the debate.
What is kills me? I don't quite get carried.
To reconsider
Reconsider the question.
the motion to combine the question.
Yeah, but isn't it just a reconsideration of the vote?
No, it's because we combined the question.
So, okay, so, come to a conclusion. So, it is not debatable, but it does require a second. So is there a second to reconsider it and to amend on the minutes? Yes, okay, cool, so, we will go back to the status quo, and we'll start debate for David Kolsky, Vice President of Finance. Once again, this is 15 minutes per candidate, 2.5 recognition for. So we'll start with recognition for Chair G.
David Kolsky.
Sorry, please stand and take one.
Matt G, Finance Chair. David Kolsky's the best for the job. Thanks, David.
So, sorry, Laura, Senator Rana has expenses. So what was, sorry, I'm still confused about what was happening there.
Okay, so Chair Cheshire made a motion to reconsider and insert it on the particular motion of combining the period of debate. So what that basically means is that can't be brought up again until the next meeting. So basically what we're doing is going back to the original plan was to debate for each individual candidate. So all 11 of these people will have 15 minutes each, depending on if everybody debates that long. But they get 15 minutes, 2.5, 4, 2.5 again.
So it's not in order to, so it's no longer in order to combine them.
No, it's not.
Point of information.
Yes.
Why did we not get a vote on any of it? Why does 1 second overrule an entire motion that we debate on? I just don't know.
That's just the way that Robert's rules are designed. Some of them are debatable motions and some of them aren't. It's something that we ran into with the 65th session, which is really frustrating. But I mean, it's just that's to have a vote. Yes.
Chair G, Finance. I didn't give my time to anyone who I wanted to debate for David Kolsky. Is there anyone?
Senator Lou's off-campus caucus. David Kolsky seems to be really well qualified, seems to be really knowledgeable. Seems like he doesn't have a whole lot of experience, but he seems like, he has a lot of passion and wants to work with the Student Senate and is, just willing to work for the process, learn the process. And I really like his answers about setting up training for the committees so that the committees know what they're going to do, what they're supposed to do, and then I like how he said it, and once they have that information, then they're accountable to actually do it. They can't just come ignorance. So I support him, and I yield to Senator.
Senator Lee, College of Science. I can tell you from a personal friendship with David Kolsky that he's a very hard worker, and he'll do all he can to really use his position to also unify the Senate so that we have a lot less quarreling back and forth, a lot more progress. And he's extremely qualified for the job, and so I urge you guys to vote for him. And I yield the floor.
Chair G, Finance. I'll actually take a little bit more time to talk about Mr. Kolsky. I've known Mr. Kolsky for 2 years now, and being in some of the same classes with him, he's an extremely intelligent guy with more than 2. I definitely think that that's going to carry over to his VP position. So if you have any concerns, I mean, please, just think about this decision. But I really believe that Mr. Kolsky is well fit for this job. He's a great communicator. That's essential for this task. That's all I have to say. So.
Ready to debate again? Seeing none, debate is one side, we'll move to the period of voting. All in favor of confirming David Kolsky as Vice President of Finance, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Without objection, I'll make a motion to move the swearing in of the new officers after judicial. All right, second, all in favor of doing so, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Okay, we'll now move on to debate.
Point of personal preference, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Also Lou's off-campus caucus. For the remainder of the candidates, can we begin with recognition for debate against?
I believe that's actually out of order. So, just say no. Okay, so moving forward with debate for Mr. Cook. Is there any debate?
Point of
information. For other motions, we begin with debate against. Is it different for because it's executive nomination?
I think it has to do with the fact that, it's a situational sort of thing. So for example, if we're debating, like the difference between an amendment and just the regular bill, they're swapped, just because of the precedent. So I understand what you're trying to do. It's like why debate for if there's not going to be any debate against. But that was kind of the point of finding. But that's it.
Point
so,
of
I'm going to finish.
Okay, sorry.
So to my knowledge, I don't think you are possible to switch them. That's something that we can check. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and move on the state side and say that's not okay to do, because this is how it is traditionally done. But if we find something else, otherwise, then at that moment, we will go ahead and move forward. Just want to play safe.
So the point of information.
First.
Point of information, would it be out of order to take the floor and debate for and then move to previous question, even if debate against has not been recognized?
Yes, because it has to be, both sides are guaranteed a recognition unless the debate is one-sided. So unless it's determined to be one-sided, then you cannot move forward. Senator Lewis.
Point of information. So then if you support a candidate, then it's not necessary to debate before them because then it speeds up the process of getting to the vote.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Slaughter.
If debate for the candidate were only one word, would the debate after having debate against be ruled one-sided, or then being debate against, would the people for the candidate have an opportunity to respond?
Okay, so, I mean, it has to be recognized to both sides. So if I went up there and said one word, I would still have to recognize debate against, even though, I mean, yield my time. But if I recognize, nobody's recognized for debate against, then it's one-sided.
Okay, so effectively that would allow against to go first, if there is an against.
We're about to find out.
Okay.
Okay, so Senator Lewis. Yes, you can do that.
Yeah,
because that is actually correct. So moving
Joint,
forward,
that's
we
what
will
joint
now
is.
start with debate again. So yay for Lane. All right, so we'll start recognition for debate again for Mr. Cook. Is there any debate against? Alright, seeing none, debate is one-sided. We're now moving to a period of voting. All in favor of Paul Irving, Kyle Cook, as president of University Committees, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Alright, we'll next move to Evan Douglas for election commissioner, starting with debate against. Is there any debate against? Seeing none, debate is one-sided. We'll move into a period of voting. All in favor of serving Evan Douglas as the election commissioner, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. And now moving to Gracie Wood for Development Commissioner. Is there any debate against? Madam Speaker? Yes, please stand and state your vote.
I'm sorry, I think this is ordered. Or I guess, Madam Speaker, I have the floor. Debate against.
I have not ruled it to be one-sided yet.
Oh, sorry, or it's whatever required.
I'm sorry.
Yes, Rebecca,
Yes, thank you.
I have the floor. I have a motion. I motion to deviate from the agenda to swear in a new senator to the chair vote. Senator,
so we have another senator.
We have another
that
new
has not.
senator.
Okay, is there a second? All in favor of deviating from the agenda to swear a new senator, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Perfect.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Tanya Levy,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to faithfully execute to the best of my abilities
faithfully to execute to the best of my abilities
the duties of the office of state your office
the duties of the senator of the board
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association.
of Texas A&M University Students Association.
To uphold the honor of the same
So, to uphold the honor of the same
and at all times to protect the welfare of the student body
and at all times protect the welfare
promote good relations between the students and those concerned with the university.
So, back to Gracie Wood, the Development Commissioner. I'm not supposed to create a debate. Okay, is there any debate? Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry. Let's see. Senator Mitchell.
Senator Mitchell, off campus. I am up here debating against Gracie Wood so that I may hear the humorous debates for Gracie Wood by Senator Cheshire and others.
Debate 4. Here's up.
So, I haven't always agreed with everything Gracie Wood has done, but I see her as a competent person, as someone who can get this done. I think this is something she's passionate about, and I think it's something that she can do time and time again with her organizational involvement. Honestly, I don't even see why we're doing this. I moved the previous question.
Okay. Well, okay. So the motion for previous question has been made. Is there a second yet? All in favor of moving to previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Okay. So we'll now move into a period of voting. All in favor of confirming Gracie Wood for the Development Commissioner, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
That passes. All right, so now we'll move on to the confirmation for Liliana Ibanez for Diversity Commissioner. I will start with debate again. We're going to debate again. We'll start with Senator Moore.
Senator Flores, Northside. I have nothing personal against Ms. Ibanez. My only issue is that I spoke to her before the meeting, and she actually seems to not know what she's getting into. Although I spoke with her, Diversity Commissioner. It's a position that is a really big interest to me, and as you can see, I'm probably very diverse myself. However, I think that a person being diverse should not be the only grounds as to why somebody gets elected to a position, Diversity Commissioner. I have met multiple people that may not be diverse themselves, however, they know more about diversity than myself even. Also, while I'm speaking with her, I mentioned various organizations having to do with diversity, many including HBC, Spanish President's Council, APC, the Asian President's Council, and she had no idea what they actually stood for or how to even contact them. To me, that speaks volumes as to the capacity of her position. She's practically going in her position not knowing a thing of what Diversity Commissioner does, and that personally, that really scares me because in the past, such a position has literally fallen off the face of the earth. I've never heard from the previous Diversity Commissioner, and I'm afraid since this person doesn't know what she's getting into, that the same will happen to her. And with that, I would give my time to Senator Marinoff.
Howdy, Senator Marinoff, engineering. Going off of what Senator Flores said, let's be sure she was not. Yeah, meters being used for this job. We could have thought this job at yeah, it's like it was,
My computer.
the whole position of Diversity Commissioner seemed vague to me. I mean, I did ask Kelly during the question, I asked her what the role of Diversity Commissioner was. In reality, it doesn't seem like that job really is going to achieve anything. I think it's just going to cause more ambiguity in the cabinet, and frankly, she's not going to be able to handle it going to meetings and all that. So she got a lot of stuff that she's involved in.
Okay, 4 we can go to 2. So we'll start with recognition for debate 4, starting with Chair Simpson.
Chair Citizen, CHC Affairs.
Guys, we had a diversity commissioner confirmed last year who didn't have a lot of experience in SGA, but she probably did the best job being diversity commissioner last year. Didn't hear a lot about them, but you know, they still, you know, they still had a position in the cabinet. So I think that's the kind of diversity commission that we want to see. And bringing in new people to the cabinet and to SGA is not something that we should be afraid of. Sometimes we need fresh faces in SGA, not someone that's been stuck around in SGA since their freshman year, like myself. So, I yield to Senator Saunders.
Howdy, Senator Saunders, Engineering. There's two main points I want to make about appointee Ibanez. The first is that I agree with Senator Marinoff that diversity commissioner is a little bit weird, but when appointee Ibanez spoke about it, it sounded more like she was describing a unity commissioner, the way she talked about, yeah, she's from Mexico, but she has still shared and bought into the same love for the Aggie family that unites all of us. And that really stuck with me. Her version of diversity was, it didn't matter what country you're born in, or what sport you played, or some of the other points you made, that you can still all be united, and that's what diversity means to me as well. And the second point I wanted to make about her is she's not a swimmer. She's an Olympic athlete, which speaks to her work ethic. Any of the achievements anyone in this Senate has ever achieved. I mean, that takes so many hours of work, and I'm confident, absolutely, that she can learn whatever things she doesn't know. And with that, I yield to Senator Harmon.
I have 2 quick points. If you're concerned about experience, she's worked with like seen government and legit governments, which blows every single one of us out of the water. The other thing is, if you're concerned about her not knowing how to handle meetings, she's an Olympic swimmer, which means she has practiced way more than any of us have been to meetings. She's put a time commitment way more than any of us have put into anything in our lives. So if we believe she can't do that, then I really don't know what you're thinking if you think that she can't put a time commitment into going to meetings and stuff like that. And with that, I yield to the Senator.
In addition to the stuff that's been brought up previously about her work ethic and what she's done, she's an Olympian, so people are going to actually care about the diversity commissions here. Nobody's known what it's done. So for the Olympians, it's like, hey, come to this event. People are going to actually show up. And I motion for previous question.
Motion for previous question has been made. There will be a second call. If you're moving to this question, please say aye. Aye. Please say nay.
Nay.
So we'll now move into the period of voting for Liliana Ibanez for Diversity Commissioner. All in favor of confirming Liliana Ibanez, please say aye. Aye. Please say nay. Okay, next we move on to Bethany Joseph for Vice President of Marketing and Media. I will open the floor for recognition for debate again. Sorry, Senator Marinoff.
Howdy, Senator Marinoff, Engineering.
This kind of seems to have some problems today. This is one of the places where there's too much thought being put into it. We currently have both, if we confirm all these, we're going to have a position of marketing and media and PRs. Frankly, those are pretty much the same thing. And we don't need more. I'm sure it's cabinet if we wanted to abolish the student body, work well with the Senate, and work well with SG committees.
Great. So our things for debate 4, and that's Senator Ron.
Hi, Senator Rana, Geosciences. My understanding of this position is basically the equivalent of constituency affairs in Senate. So to kind of speak on what Senator Marinoff just said, when SVP Kelly talked about the difference between marketing and PR, I really got the feeling that PR is going to be more of community relations, like our equivalent of community relations, whereas marketing and social marketing and social media would be more of like a constituency affairs type role in the executive cabinet. I really feel that that would be very beneficial to just letting the students know what the executive cabinet does, because many students don't. They just see Senate and the Senate and then what Senate does. Senator.
Howdy, Senator Sonka, Engineering. There's a couple points I want to touch on. First of all, this isn't about whether how Kelly's restructuring of the cabinet was valid or not, or anything about that, but I think it is valid because he took the community relations and the internal relations and combined them into one, and then made another position, so it's from 2 to 2. So I don't really understand that point. And secondly, I want to talk a little bit about Bethany Joseph. This girl, I mean, her speeches up here were great, but they don't even begin to do her justice. She's one of the best communicators I know. If you've ever read her blog, that's something I'm not into blogs or, what girls write on the internet most of the time. But I was engaged with her blog and very interested, or were guys write on the internet, wasn't it? Yeah, but anyone writes on the internet. When she wrote, I was interested in it, I look forward to it, and I mean, that's something that can really transform the marketing and media. And anyway, why wouldn't we do this? What we're talking about is not spending money. We're talking about making a Twitter, which is free, and a Facebook, which is free, and then getting someone to work to promote the Student Government Association. I really don't see a drawback to that at all. With that, I yield to our chair, Elder.
Chair, you are. Yeah, what other senators were getting to. If we don't confirm Ms. Joseph, it doesn't mean that SVP Kelly is going to be like, oh yeah, no public, or was it, no marketing and media VP. So yeah, that's not a good point. So that answers the previous question.
Motion to previous question is made. There are multiple seconds. All in favor of the previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay.
Yay.
All right, we'll now move to the creative voting for Ms. Bethany Joseph. All in favor of confirming Bethany Joseph for Vice President of Marketing and Media, please say aye. Aye. Please say nay.
Yay.
All right, we'll now move on to debate for Hannah Wimberly, Vice President of Public Relations. We'll start with debate against. Is there any debate against? Seeing none, debate is one-sided, and we'll move to the period of voting. All in favor of confirming Hannah Wimberly as Vice President of Public Relations, please say aye. Aye. Please say nay. All right, now moving on to Jason Wood for Vice President of Academic Affairs. Is there any debate against? Seeing none, debate is one-sided. We'll now move into the period of voting. All in favor of confirming Jason Wood as Vice President of Academic Affairs, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. That passes. We'll now move on to Colin Kruger, Vice President of Student Services. Is there any debate against? Seeing none, debate is one-sided. Now we'll move into the period of voting. All in favor of confirming Colin Kruger, Vice President of Student Services, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. That passes. Now we're going to Drew Williams, Vice President of IT and Records. Is there any debate? Seeing none, debating one-sided. Moving to the period of voting. All in favor of confirming Drew Williams as Vice President of IT and Records, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Now we're going to Braden Kennedy, Vice President of Legislative Relations. Is there any debate against? Seeing none, debating one-sided. We'll now move to the period of voting. All in favor of confirming Braden Kennedy as Vice President of Legislative Relations, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. As the motion that I made earlier, we'll now move into judicial court confirmations, and we'll be swearing in those members of the cabinet at the end. So if we can bring those people in, that would be great. Oh, you don't want to stand? No. For presentation. Yes.
What information?
Yes.
Has the presentation already been condensed into one?
For judicial court, no.
Well, I move to combine presentation.
Okay, a motion has been made to combine the period of presentation for judicial court confirmations. Is there a second? Yes. All in favor of combining the period of presentation, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. So, I think Kelly, you will have 32. Yes.
By combining the presentation, that also includes the Chief Justice.
So we were talking specifically about judicial court confirmation, so yes.
The problem is, like, I have 2 students, and I don't think it's.
Please stay in order. Okay, we have 30 minutes. Ready to go.
Howdy. Very much the same thing with these individuals. I'm responsible for this process and therefore putting my name with each of these people, both from now and for their time serving in the judicial court. And so I'm happy to answer any questions about the people in the process through. Similar to our executive cabinet, very much looking forward to you getting to know these individuals as well.
All right.
Hi, Senate. My name is Brent Cooper. I currently serve as the Vice Chief Justice of the Judicial Court. And I'm here to ask for confirmation to serve as Chief Justice of the Judicial Court. A little bit about myself. You can go to the next slide. Great. You can go to the next one as well. I am a double major in economics and philosophy from Houston, Texas, on the west side, Spring Pine, Commonwealth area. I enjoy reading, running, and baseball. Unfortunately, I'm an Astros fan. This is a picture of me and Justice Don Willett on the Texas Supreme Court. Let's take him back in September, I think. He's kind of a friend of mine and has really been a great role model for myself, both on the court and off the court. He's a great guy. You should follow him on Twitter. A little bit about some of my relevant experience. I'm a member of the moot court team here at Texas. So essentially what it is rather than being the justice asking the questions, I am the attorney being hit with all the questions. And I think that helps me in a number of ways. It helps me understand the oral argument process. It helps me understand what questions to ask, why to ask them, and how to ask them. And I think it also helps me relate a little bit better with people that argue in our court. Sometimes it can be a nerve-wracking experience, but having been there myself many times, I can definitely relate with each and every one of them. And I've been able to have quite a bit of success in that. I definitely enjoy being part of that. I've also served as a former intern. I worked for the College Station Municipal Court as well as Texas State Representative Debbie Riddle. Seeing both the legislative side of things and the judicial side of things helped me gain an appreciation for the difference between the two. I know legislation, and I know judging, and I know there's a difference. And as a justice on the judicial court, I make sure that questions of policy, questions of what is a good policy or a bad policy, don't get in the way of making decisions solely on the text. My job is to be an umpire, so calling balls and strikes, and not actually interjecting myself in the game. I can go to the next slide. A little bit about my SGA experience. I currently serve as the Vice Chief Justice. Before that, I was the Secretary of the Court, so I've served about almost all of the constitutionally mandated officer positions. The Officer Secretary of the Court's filing and administration guidelines, which has really helped the court function better as a unit and be more accountable to the students that we serve. I also served on the SGA Comprehensive Performance Review, as well as the Sunset Review Commission. So, vision for the court. First and foremost is impartiality. It's so important that I wrote it 3 times. The court is really supposed to be an impartial arbiter. It's supposed to, like I said, be an umpire that isn't picking winners and losers, isn't picking favorites, but based on the text of the Constitution and of the Code. And I hope to maintain that as Chief Justice. Also, I hope to be one of 9 justices. I don't think that my judicial associate justice. My goal is to make sure that everyone's opinions are valued, because I think the court functions at its best when disagreement is allowed. Third, I think that we need clear, more accountable standards of evidence. This was a big issue last year. It's 2014, but in a lot of ways the court kind of operates like it's 2004. We haven't had a clear, direct answer of how the court handles things like Facebook messages or text messages. And I think it's important that the court is clear to the students that it serves, and is clear to SGA what is admissible in our court and what is not. And last, I think we need a better treatment of precedent. If you walk by our cube, you'll see there's a big banner that says "Sorry to CSIS," but I can't remember one time where someone arguing in our court brought up precedent, argued the differences or similarities between the case at bar and past precedent. And I think that it's important that we really focus on that precedent, because that really creates a consistency within the court, within SGA. And there are a couple ways we can do that. One, we can have more internal citations and say what we're holding here is really the same thing we held a couple years ago. And another thing I think we can do is work with our judicial advocates, who are kind of the people who represent people that are filing in our court. If we can make sure that they're well versed in the court's precedent, then I think that that would become a more substantial part of each and every debate we hear. So, thank you.
Howdy.
Howdy.
My name is Alex Miller. I'm a sophomore English major from College Station, Texas. I am also in crime. So I am actually new to SGA leadership. This is the first position that I've applied for. But that being said, I do think that there is something to also be said for new ideas and more impartiality, seeing as how this will be my first semester serving. And so I think that that is really important. I have participated in several SGA events, and I have read the SGA Constitution and bylaws, and they do have a good understanding of the process so far. I also do fully intend on devoting myself to further understanding the process for the summer and just like throughout the entire process. As an English major, I do throughout all of my courses. I am able to clearly and concisely convey thoughts and synthesize arguments, which I do think is very important and is a very crucial part of my work as well. And then in high school, I was student body president, and so as such, I was required to settle a lot of disputes among other officers, but also maintain impartiality throughout that process. I was also in charge of appointing people to different positions, and so also had to maintain impartiality with that. And my judicial philosophy is just to at all times uphold the integrity and character for which A&M stands. I think that we are all so lucky to go to an institution that has such great foundational characteristics, and so I think that as a justice, it's so important for us to continually uphold that and uphold what the Constitution stands for. Also, my philosophy is also just to approach each case with equality, ruling fairly and impartially, and hearing all sides of the argument, making decisions based on facts rather than my perception. So, thanks and freedom.
Howdy, my name is Zane Moravia, junior political science major. I'm from Sugar Land, Texas. What really defines me is I'm a first-generation college student, coming from parents who didn't make it to high school. And this is just exciting for me, it's exciting for my parents, it's a new thing, so we really appreciate what we have now. Fun fact about me, I'm 5 foot 10 inches, and most people wouldn't expect this, but I can dunk a basketball. And what I do appreciate are the simple things in life, like cookies and cream ice cream. The experience I have, I'm currently a research assistant for a political science professor, and I've also performed other research with another political science professor. In that research, I looked through everything like LexisNexis, Westlaw. I interned this past summer in Washington, D.C. for the Department of Navy, where I did public policy for them, and I got the opportunity of doing different types of research, like visiting the National Archives, which was pretty cool. I was part of legislative relations back in 2013, and I really got to see how it worked being the intermediary between the student body and the legislature in Austin. That was a really cool thing to that. My vision for the judicial court is just to continue to provide a forum where students can bring their disputes and it can be solved impartially. Ultimately, I think the goal of judicial court should be to preserve individuals' rights and just everyone be treated equally. I take the Constitution I think that whatever is written in the Constitution means what it says. It shouldn't be the interpretation can be changed. If it needs to be changed, so amendments are formed. Impartiality is huge, I think, for someone in my position. And I think that just comes down to being an Aggie. Remember who you're serving. We're all serving our fellow Aggies, where we do what's in the best interest of our fellow Aggies. Thank you. Thanks, Ingrid.
Howdy, Senate. My name is Bethany Bonsu, and I'm from Dallas, Texas. So, as you can see, I'm a big fan of biking, and I have a picture of Craig Watkins and Eric on my face. Craig Watkins is currently the Dallas District Attorney, and he's done a lot of great things that I hope to do if I become the DA of Dallas. And I aspire to be U.S. Attorney General, and also the Supreme Court. I was a judicial advocate general for this year, and so why I'm qualified to be a justice? One, being impartial is a very important part of being a justice, and I learned how to be impartial because when I interned at the public defender's office, which everybody, anytime you hear a public defender or defense attorney, people normally become very kind of like, I don't know, because defense attorneys are viewed bad. But I saw a completely different perspective, and it gave me, I guess, an opportunity to see that not everything is black and white as they are on television. Also, interned at the Dallas District Attorney's Office and the Brazos County District Attorney's Office, which are completely different. Dallas and Brazos County operate weird, like they're totally different from each other. And I learned that, not everybody is necessarily guilty, but not everybody is innocent either. So it gave me the opportunity to see that I can, as somebody who wants to be a justice, I'm able to see that there's both black and white, and I can kind of point out the darker and lighter shades. I have experience on the debate team at my high school, and unfortunately I didn't join the debate team at Texas A&M, but I did join the mock trial team. But unfortunately I haven't been able to compete. But I do have experience because we practice a lot, and so that gives me experience on knowing what questions to ask, because some people ask questions that aren't necessarily important, and they ask them sometimes to intimidate people. But when you're on the court, it's important to ask questions that actually matter, so you can get to the truth and see the facts of the matter. I was also, like I said, I was a judicial advocate general. I wrote a contract. I wasn't able to argue in court, but I did write a contract, which was extremely exciting for me because I've never done that or had that much authority over something. But, and then this, I didn't title this slide because it's about, I guess, my vision for the court of Texas A&M. And I guess my vision for the court is that no matter who is in the deciding matter or what's going on, that J-Court sticks to its interpretations, and it focuses on what actually matters and not on who's going to get angry at who and who's going to benefit from what. And that's pretty much all of my presentation. Thank you.
Howdy.
Howdy.
My name is Jake Patches, and I'm a nominee for Associate Justice. Alright, so a little bit about me. As you can see, I'm a county major here at A&M. I'm currently a junior, soon to be senior in about a week. I have also minors in history and military studies. I'm a member of the Corps of Cadets, proud member of Company B1. I have the privilege of serving as the executive officer for next year. I'm an Army brat and will be a third-generation Army officer after I graduate. From here, I'm commissioned in the United States Army. So as an Army brat, I never really grew up somewhere, but I went to high school in Colorado, Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I'm proud to call Colorado home. As such, I'm a skier. I swam competitively for 7 years. And yeah, I love Colorado, and I love Texas too, and I absolutely adore A&M. It's the hands down the greatest university in the world. Some of the qualifications. I as well was on the Texas A&M undergraduate report team with Breton this year. I had an absolute blast with it. I went to nationals as well. It gave me an opportunity to learn a lot about how, as he said, how to ask questions, the kinds of questions that are relevant in a court setting, and also how the law works and how precedent works and how precedent provides stability to a legal system. That is to say, stare decisis, let the decision state that you know that if a similar situation comes before the court, then in the future it will rule the same way for the same reasons. That's very important because I'm very much a rules person. Rules are very important. I believe that everybody should follow the rules because that's what it gives people a level playing. But if the rules are ambiguous, and nobody really knows what they are. You can't reasonably expect people to follow. Next slide. And that kind of gets to my judicial philosophy. First and foremost, I am a textualist. I believe that everything must be understood within the content, within the scope of the rule itself, and the intent with which it was written. However, there needs to be, I would contend there needs to be at least a small modicum of pragmatism to it. That is to say, if everything were black and white and straightforward, there would be no courts. Everyone would know automatically somebody broke the rule and there'd be no question about it. So the role of the court is to look to past precedent, to look to the original intent of the rules, and to decide what is fair, and to continue deciding in the same manner in the future. And that's kind of the vision that I have for the court as well on the front end, to really start getting back to looking back at precedent and how past cases are decided in the future. That way we can have a better idea of what the rules are, we can better expect people to follow. Thank you.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Fancy with it. Well, I am Jake Smith, and I am from Lamesa, Texas. We're outside Lubbock. So, I grew up going to every Tech football game since I was a baby. Yeah, give me more of that. I came to Texas A&M once, visit my senior year, and I was like, okay, this is where I'm going. Honestly, I grew up making fun of Aggies, but now I am one. I'm sorry, but I know I'm at the best university. I'm 18. I will be 19 in 3 months. So I'm excited about that. I'm a political science major with a philosophy minor. I am applying for Bush School in the fall, focused on public service administration, on security policy, and hopefully working on national security policy implementation. Some of my hobbies: I love running, I love working out. I'm a huge movie buff. My two favorite movies are Argo and Zero Dark 30. If you haven't seen either of them movies, Facebook message me something. We're gonna have a movie night. It's gonna be great. And I love listening to old presidential speeches. It's kind of weird, kind of nerdy, but Senator Slusher can contest to this. I have Ronald Reagan speeches on MP3 and I listen to them. And I was in Gateway Success. Also, Miss Bethany. It was great. I love Gateway. It was a great experience and really helped me move from high school into college. Amazing experience. I am a judicial advocate currently. I have worked with senators such as Chair Cheshire, Chair Sosa, former Speaker Russo, and now the Development Commissioner Gracie Wood. So I've worked with everyone, and I feel I have done my utmost to please each client equally, and hopefully they can attest to that. I am a member of Swamp, screenwriting movie production, all in high school. Theater, I was in a movie production. I thought, okay, I'm done with that. That's in my life, you know. I got to college, and I decided I can't let that go. So I joined Swamp. As a member of Swamp, I've helped produce, direct, and act in student films, and it's just part of me I can't let go. I'm a member of SCONA and a delegate of SCONA, and that is a student conference on national affairs. And we've had speakers, as a member, we have speakers come, such as General Mad Dog Mattis, 4-star Marine Corps General. We have Dr. Erin Snyder. She's a professor at Bush School, and she spent many years in Morocco doing research. She is amazing. As a delegate, I get to participate and actually formulate policy on how we can solve the Israeli and Palestine conflict, which is pretty much impossible, but we get a good crack at it. I'm also participate in ISCNE as a delegate. That's the International Strategic Crisis Negotiation Exercise. And as that, I was the country of South Sudan. I negotiated with Ethiopia, Uganda, Sudan, other students, of course, from the Citadel, from West Point, and we try to come to a solution on how we should negotiate area and stuff like that in the Abia region. That's the region between South Sudan and Sudan. That's a big conflict of tribes. And I'm a member of the National Society of Collegiate Scholars over my, I gained success over the last semester. And I've also been a guest host on K&M Radio to discuss, I mean, that's fun. I thought that was cool. But discuss stuff, current political matters or just current world matters such as the missing Malaysian flag. Next slide, please.
in my judicial philosophy, first I want to say, why did you join the court? Well, as JAG, I pretty much fell in love with the court. I kind of felt, I actually ran for senator for a villain's position last fall. Didn't win. Actually, Senator Jordan of the previous session, the one that beat me. And I got approached by one of my friends in my class, like, you should try the JAG, you know? I was like, what's that? And they kind of told me about it, and I was like, that sounds really cool, you know? And I applied, and I actually got the position. And now being in judicial court, I can't imagine being in any other branch. I love it. It's where I think I'm supposed to be. Public service. I believe public service to be a noble calling. I believe it to be such as all y'all. I hope that y'all ran because you believe it makes a difference. You all make a difference. The student body, and because you are the elected officials. You didn't elect us. The students elected you. And I feel like I would love to be in a position that would participate in the public service. And the integrity of the court. I believe the court to be kind of the cleanest branch, not so much mudslinging, kind of like that way. I think we should hold the court to a higher integrity and go to it when it is necessary. I'm a textualist too. I believe the Constitution and the governing documents are what it says. That is what it says. You wrote it. If you didn't like it, amend it. But that is how I will rule as a textualist. I believe the Constitution to be a fixed document, not to be living. It is fixed, and it goes on the textualist saying is, if you don't like it, amend it. And, of course, God bless America. God bless our courts.
Okay. So we will now move into a period of question and answer. And it will be 5 minutes of questions per individual candidate.
Madam Speaker, I move to combine the period of question and answer and only the period of question and answer.
Motion to combine the period of question and answer has been made. Is there a second? All in favor of combining the period of question and answer, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay.
Nay. Nay.
So, we'll go ahead and open up the period of question and answer. And I will start with recognition from Chair Sosa.
Chair Sosa, decision speakers. Questions directed at Mr. Jason. Considering that you're one of the more active nominees so far in the judicial court, what is your opinion on the last J-Court opinion, which essentially ruled that the judicial court can move legislation from a committee in the legislative branch to the floor in the legislative branch? What is your opinion on the judicial court getting involved in the legislative process?
I don't know. Well, of course, I worked with Senator Wood on this case, so I'm already a little biased towards it. As such, that is in the 305 statutes that the court does have the right to issue a writ of mandamus, but if we do look at the opinion in that, the court did not issue such writs, because in doing so, it would break a bylaw and conform to it. So, from that position, since I did work on one party of the case, I'm already biased towards the opinion, and I was not on the ruling court. So, it is within statutes for the court to issue such writ, but the court did not issue a writ.
Sorry, yeah.
I was going to sit down.
Okay, perfect.
So, this is going to be a question for everyone, including Mr. Smith, if you already answered it. So, could everyone answer to me, are you a textualist or pragmatist, and specifically to justice, or do you think your voting pressure has influenced?
I absolutely do. I am a textualist. I think that my decisions reflect textualism. The only two decisions I've made have been in a case, the Namkin versus Prenson decision, and then also in the most recent case, I'll address both. Namkin versus Prenson was a case where I wrote a concurring opinion because I was concerned that the decision the court was making was inserting non-textualist precedent into the system. What the unanimous concurring opinion really was, we'll start with what it was not. What it was not was saying that had the plaintiff changed his argument, we would have ruled differently. Nowhere in the opinion does it say that. What it does say is that it's a warning to the current court and to the future court that by simply rejecting the plaintiff's arguments, the court was coming very close to inserting non-textualist precedent into the system and really creating powers of defining who can and cannot run for student body president that the Constitution does not include. So I was concerned that the court was establishing non-textualist precedent. I wanted to make sure that in the future courts would be able to hold precedent and textualism. And sometimes those conflict, but I want to make sure that concurrent opinion is there. On the most recent case, I'll start off by saying that I agree with many people in this room that it's not the role of the court to meddle excessively in the affairs of the Senate. Essential to my judicial philosophy is a belief that judges should not legislate from the bench. And I equally believe that judges should not legislate through the legislature by excessively forcing the hands of the Senate. And I think that I've been one of the most outspoken judges about this. You remember in that particular case, I asked a question of the counsel for the plaintiff, and I asked whether honoring their request to issue writ of mandamus would essentially be interjecting the court into the decision-making process of the Senate. I have a lot of misgivings about that, and it's for that reason that I did not issue a writ of mandamus. But my loyalty, first and foremost, is to the text of the Constitution and of the Code. In Chapter 305, Article 1, Section 2 of the Code, states that the judicial court may issue writs of mandamus to command any member of student government to comply with any judicial court order, any student senate bylaw, or the SGA Constitution. And so that gives the court wide latitude in using writs of mandamus, but I think that it's very limited. And it's limited in two ways. One, by the text itself, and two, even further by my judicial philosophy. First, the text itself limits it, because I think you really need two things if the court's going to issue writ of mandamus against the Senate. First, there has to be a demonstration that a bylaw has been violated. And second, I think there has to be a demonstration that using a writ of mandamus would somehow solve the problem, would somehow restore SGA to a position in which all the rules are being followed. And I think it's even more limited by my own judicial philosophy. I think that I have met every request to issue writ of mandamus with very high scrutiny, because it is one of the powers the court has, and it's not to be taken lightly. And so I think that the court can issue writs of mandamus, but only in very, very narrow situations. And I think the tax leaves me no other option but to decide that way.
As I said during my introduction, I am indeed first and foremost a textualist. That is to say, rules are made for particular reasons to solve particular issues, and rules should be used to solve those issues. However, once again, as I said in my introduction, if every single rule was black and white and if everyone knew exactly when it was applicable, there'd be no rule. As soon as someone would break a rule, everyone would fail it and everyone would admit it, and that would be that. The fact that courts exist is a sign of the fact that from time to time it may be glorious whether or not a rule truly is applicable. And that is where precedent comes in, that's where stare decisis comes in. That is to say, when the rules aren't black and white, when there is a certain amount of ambiguity, the court is within the court's prerogative and as confirmed by the SGA Constitution for the court to review those cases, make it, render a decision, and it is the court is then obliged to follow that decision in the future. That is to say, they decide a particular way, they decide future cases of similar facts to the same.
I'm definitely a textualist, as I stated in my presentation. I think that the Constitution is a document, and if you do want to change something, that's what amendments are for. And furthermore, if the judicial court can't be meddling in those kind of matters, because I mean that undermines democracy. That's what you guys are here for.
Well, I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not fully a textualist. I think that you should always, of course, follow the Constitution, and everything is right there. But I also think that there are implications. I think there are loopholes, and I don't think that the court should legislate from the bench, but I do think that there are. I think that's a very difficult. I think that's a difficult question for me to answer.
I am a textualist, and I think the Constitution, what's laid out in here, is laid out there for a reason. And so if there are reasons behind those rules and regulations, then it is up to the court to uphold those and go and abide by those rules and regulations.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Chair.
Cheshire Rules and Regulations, this is directed to all members of the court except Mr. Cooper. Has there ever been a judicial court opinion in the last 3 years that you have disagreed with? If so, what was it and why?
Ultimately, those decisions are made by past courts. They are precedent. It is first and foremost the role of the court to follow precedents. The court does not legislate the bench. The court does not make political judgments. The court follows the rules. The court follows the rules that it's established. As such, I don't believe that I believe that as such, those decisions have been made, and those decisions should stand. Those decisions will stand.
I do not disagree with any of the decisions made. I'm sure all fairness and fairness was involved in the process.
I am not aware of every single decision that's been made by the court, so I can't really tell you whether or not I disagree with one or agree with another. So I don't think that I'm educated enough to
I would second that. I wasn't present for those court cases, and so I didn't hear the arguments for either side or the discussion that went to the decision-making process. So I feel I'm not open to
Well, I mean, we try to ball this thing into the real deal in federal courts, and I know the federal courts hate to overrule themselves. They hate it, and I think our court should try at least to adopt that policy to where if we're going to make a ruling, we should try to make a precedent. Now, me being a judicial advocate, and if this confirmation doesn't go as planned, I should not confine myself to saying that I disagree with the case, given the clients I could work with in the future.
Thank you.
Your vote.
Chair, Commissioner this question is directed at Justice Cooper. So, as some of you might be aware of, I was a justice of the court this past year, and in February, I represented. Certain steps were taken to quote, maintain the impartiality of the court, and those included removing me from the big court listserv and excluding me from any information that was going on throughout the court during election season. My question to you, Mr. Cooper, is would you do the same, or how would you do it?
Absolutely. Those decisions were made entirely by Chief Justice Whitman. Those decisions were not in any way affected by myself. In the future, I think that it's very important that the court maintains impartiality, and I think that there are a number of ways we can do that. But I think it's important that we make very clear in our bylaws and anticipate those situations and say, should an individual run for another office, then these are the bylaws, these are the rules that apply. If there's one mistake in the process, Chief Justice Whitley in that whole situation, I think that it was kind of done on an ad hoc basis. Something that I like to do is sort of anticipate those situations so they're applied even-handedly and fairly, so it doesn't look like the Chief Justice is just calling all the shots or making decisions out of thin air, but that there is a very set and established clear system of rules that all the justices know about, so that the court can uphold that impartiality.
Thank you.
Cheshire Rules and Regulations. This is a simple yes or no question. Members of the court, you need to answer individually. Do you believe that the judicial court has the authority to rule what the student senate intends?
I don't think that the judicial court can really say what the Senate intends. I believe in a situation where the court is now making democratic choices. I think that the democratically elected branches of the Senate and the exec are supposed to make those choices. They're supposed to make their own intent. I, in my own jurisprudence, stray far away from intent because I feel like when the court is making determinations of intent from the Senate, usually it's not actually the intent of the Senate. And then a question arises, whose intent do we use? Do we use the intent of this senator or that senator, or do we use the intent of the body as a whole? And the question becomes, what does that really look like? And so I think that it's problematic anytime the judicial court or any judicial entity in the real world says this is the intent of the legislature. I believe in a rule of law and not of men, and I feel like when people try to establish what this ethereal idea of intent was, a lot of times it's really just a misnomer for judges, legislators, and bench, which I work really close to.
The purpose of the court is to consistently and consistently and predictably apply the law of fair. Nothing more, nothing less.
No, I just simply don't think the court should be involved in this thing.
Well, if there's something that conflicts with the Constitution, then it's unconstitutional.
No, I think our job is just to primarily uphold the rules and regulations of the Constitution.
But as intent, you mean like their ethics and etc.
I mean the intent.
Do you think they meant to do this? Students meant to do this?
Yes, sure.
I believe when it comes to actually J court case and us coming in there, we will rule on government documents, but as to what you intend is to what the bill is written. And we will rule on whether it is, I will rule on what is written and whether it is in the Constitution, bylaws, etc.
So, this is the first. The question is directed at Justice. So you mentioned that the original reference of next speaker. So you mentioned that the court did not issue a writ of mandamus, but the opinion did state that the court did uphold its ability to issue a writ of mandamus if there was time to issue such a writ to comply with a certain action. So I'd like for you to maybe specify where in code, bylaws, statutes, and constitution did it state that by forcing someone to comply with writ of mandamus, you enforce a bill from a committee to the floor.
Great question. I definitely understand your concern, but allow me to clarify a little bit of what that decision actually held. The court did not hold that had there been more time, the court most certainly would have issued a writ of mandamus commanding the bill to go to the floor. The court did not hold that. Actually, the stated reason why we didn't issue a writ of mandamus was because we didn't want to violate more bylaws and we didn't want to stick our nose into the Senate. And I thought that was a great decision because anytime you start reaching into other branches, it really becomes legislating from the bench through other branches. Definitely opposed to that. And so I think
point of information, Madam Speaker, what does the judicial court opinion say in reference to what would happen if a bill had been filed previously?
We need the document in your hand.
Right, so the opinion reads, if the appeal had been filed with the court at an earlier date, compensatory actions could have been taken to redress the violations committed by the finance chair. While the court rules in favor of the appellant, time constraints with the current student senate prohibit compensatory actions taken if the appeal had been submitted earlier.
Right, and those are exactly what they are. They're compensatory actions. They are not explicitly saying that we would have issued a writ of mandamus. We address that in the paragraph directly above that, if you'll read that. And we decided not to issue those writs of mandamus, not because of any time constraint, but because we didn't believe it was the court's role to stick its hand into the Senate and start really legislating from the bench through the legislature. And so we weren't able to take any compensatory action because of time constraints, but I think the opinion makes clear that had those time constraints not been there, the court would not have used a writ of mandamus because it makes it pretty clear that we rejected the idea of a writ of mandamus not because of time constraints, but because of the very nature of this amendment.
Okay, Senator Hood.
Senator Hood, off campus. This
questions directed directly to Ms. Bonner. You said that when you look at the law, it's not necessarily always black and white. Could you give me an example where you might interpret something and not see it as black and white, and how that would affect your interpretation? Permission of the preference.
Yes,
Right.
just for clarification.
Okay. So, when you were talking, you said that sometimes there are gray areas within the law. What is a potential gray area within the laws of SGA that you could see becoming an issue in any decision that you may make?
I can't really answer that question because I don't know all the laws we just created. So.
Senator Marinoff.
Howdy, Senator Marinoff, Engineering. This is directed to all 6 nominees. If you encounter a situation in a case where the Constitution does not directly state anything regarding that issue, what action will you take and how will you vote, and what will be the case?
Yeah, I'll start with that. First and foremost, I mean, every fact pattern is different, so any hypothetical you raise is really something that we can't address directly because of the impartiality that the court strives for. But as a general principle, I believe that if the Constitution is vague and leaves things open to interpretation, then it's not the court's role to just decide whatever it wants. If there was an ink blot on the Constitution, it would not be the role of the court to decide what that ink blot means. And the same applies to vagueness. The court can't simply take a vague standard and use it as kind of a channel to legislate its own preferred policy, and I think that that is something that I strive to combat when I come before it.
So,
If the Constitution is vague on a particular issue, or it talks about a specific issue that has come up in the case that you'd be considering in that example.
well, first you would look if the Constitution does not specifically state you one way or the other, you would look at the standing statutory standing statutes, and you would interpret it within the confines of statutes, assuming that once again those statutes are in violation of the Constitution. Lacking that, you would look at the you would look to precedent, and lacking precedent, statute, or a constitutional issue, I would hypothesize there's a very small chance that any party would have standing in court, and thus that case would be removed. So you look first at the statute. If the statute's silent, then well, to be honest, if the statute's silent, then probably wouldn't be precedent. So you look at the statute.
Honestly, I would just look at precedent. In addition, if the Constitution is vague about a certain topic, then I'm not sure we could rule necessarily more than the status quo.
Well, I guess I have to, when you first started saying something is vague, and I have to rely on precedent.
I think if it's extremely vague and there's not a way that it says it's not black and white, then I do think that it's something that possibly wouldn't even be a case like maybe it wouldn't get to. So I think it just is a case-by-case scenario, and so it really just depends on the situation.
Completely different. Some things within the Constitution are mentioned might have been taken out, but it's still somewhere else. So I mentioned that there might be something vague or something that might not be there or clarified. It's really hard to tell you how to rule, being that every little detail matters within a general case.
Thank you.
Okay, Chair Chapman.
Point of information, Madam Speaker.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Point of information. How much time do we have left in this room?
We have exactly 58 minutes. Yes.
How much, around your sciences, how much time do we have left for,
Approximately 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay.
Judge RR, this question is directed to all members of the Judicial Court except for Jason. Given that you all said that you did not have the ability to legislate or review what the students' intent was, the part of the last Judicial Court appeal was a finding under Chapter 501 of the SGA Allocation Regulations Act, Article 1, Section 1, which reads, the Senate intends this act to set forth regulations for the proper use of student service fees, blah, blah, blah. Given your previous statement and your statement that you did not disagree with any opinion by the court, would you please explain how both of those positions could be held at the same time?
I never stated I agree or disagree with the current statement, which the president and that president stands. I stand by that. I continue to stand by that as that's the basis of the entire legal system. I make no attempt to pass any judgment on any previous decision. I merely state their decision that they stand.
I apologize. I should have added earlier that I haven't seen every decision. I have not read every decision, but the ones I have read, I do not disagree.
I mean, my answer hasn't changed, but I don't know all the courts are willing to say whether or not I disagree or agree.
My answer has not changed. As I said before, it's just my position. I don't have enough information. I was not in the court at that time, and so I don't think it's appropriate for me to make a decision whether or not I agree or disagree. What is that?
Yeah, I think the reason why I attached myself to that opinion was because I made the decision based on the meaning of those bylaws. I make all my decisions based on meaning. There's a difference between meaning and intent. Intent is very subjective, and I utterly reject it any time it's really just the court coming up with their own laws and masquerading it as intent. What I look for is meaning. Sometimes intent and meaning line up coincidentally, but the decisions I've made have been because of meaning. What people understand, the people who are subject to the rules that we talk about, what does it mean to them? That's the way I understand the meaning of a statute or a Senate bylaw or the Constitution.
Senator Reed. Senator Salter. Chair Young. Chair. Okay. Chair Joseph.
Chair Sosa, constituency first. This is directed to nominee Senator Reed. You mentioned, Commissioner Francis, Madam Speaker, you mentioned that you didn't disagree with any prior opinions of the board. You stated which ones you read and why you agree with them. They agree. So,
well, my whole philosophy of that is that's that court's decision. It's not something I can control necessarily. So I would just respect their decisions and do that.
Marinoff, engineering. If you find a previous court decision to be in violation of the Constitution, and since y'all mentioned that you will follow precedent, if precedent violates the Constitution, will you commit to overriding precedent?
Great question. My ultimate loyalty is to the Constitution, and if I defer to precedent, then my deference really falls into dereliction, and that's not my goal as a justice on the judicial court. And I think because of believing that, it's even more important than as a justice, you think about the long-term effects of your decision, and that's why I've made certain decisions to clarify the decision of the majority opinion, agreeing with them very much, but kind of clarifying and specifying a danger that might arise if a non-textualist precedent is put into the system. I think that my ability to do that will certainly serve textualists and textualism on the court. It'll give it a lot of dividends in the future.
It says it straight in the SJA Constitution that the Constitution is the first and foremost highest priority. All precedent flows from the Constitution. So if precedent doesn't follow the Constitution, then that's not really precedent. Because precedent is precedent because it's a consistent way to interpret the Constitution. If it's not a problem.
Your question is now expired.
Madam Speaker, I move to reopen the question, the time period question answer for a time period of 10 minutes.
Okay, a motion has been made to extend the period of question and answer for 10 minutes. Is there a second? All in favor of extending the period of question and answer, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
That fails. Okay, so the period of question and answer has now expired. So
Madam Speaker, I move to combine the period of debate for the associate justices being nominated tonight.
Okay, so a motion has been made to combine the period of debate for the associate justices and obviously not the chief justice nominee. So is there a second? All in favor of combining the period of debate for the associate justices, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Okay, so please touch the room. We will start period of debate for the
Point of primary, Madam Speaker, sit in order at the moment to request to score in the executive confirmations.
I believe that is.
I make a motion to score in the executive confirmations.
All in favor of going ahead and deviating, not deviating, but just swearing in the executive cabinet members, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Get it out. As a reminder, we are getting kind of close to quorum, so please try to stay within the room at all costs. If you have to use the restroom, that's cool. Otherwise, try to stay. No.
I state your name.
I, Jason Wood,
Do solemnly swear.
do solemnly swear
To faithfully execute to the best of my abilities.
to faithfully execute to the best of my abilities
The duties of the office of state your office.
the duties of the office of Vice President of Finance,
Texas A&M University Student Government Associate.
Texas A&M Student Government Association,
To uphold the honor of the same.
to uphold the honor of the same,
And at all times to protect the welfare of the student body.
and at all times to protect the welfare of the student body,
And to promote good relations between the students.
and to promote good relations between the students
And those concerned with the university.
and those concerned with the university.
Congratulations.
We will go ahead and once everybody's settled in their seat, move forward with debate. And I will start recognition for debate again for Chief Justice nominee Britton. Okay, so is there any debate again? Start with Senator Stimpson. Senator Stimpson, sorry. Please stand hard.
Chair Sosa, constituency first. Guys, I'm extremely concerned about
confirming a judicial court member to a position that basically represents the judicial court to all bodies, sort of SGA and to the other branches of SGA, because of several opinions that he signed on, but particularly the last one. So when this last opinion was issued by the court, I asked the Chief Justice whether the court basically upheld its ability to issue a writ mandamus to do such things as to order a committee not a member like the finance chair, but a committee to send a bill to the floor. And he said yes. So now, Mike come up here and say otherwise, but that's the answer that I was given, and that's the answer that I'm going to present here for you. And that's something that I disagree with. There is no precedence in the national level, state level, or even in SGA that has ever meddled in the legislative branch from the judicial branch to send a bill from a committee to the Senate floor. That is a legislative process. You cannot have the judicial branch sticking its judicial power within the legislative branch. I yield to that was Senator Mitchell.
Well, how does that?
Howdy.
Guys, I think it's just very important that we overturn this nomination. The Chief Justice of the Judicial Court is a very important position, and we cannot have a guy that comes in here and says, yes, I can change Senate bylaws. Yes, I can pull that bill out of committee and put it on the floor. When the Constitution says that they can't, it's like ruling that black is white, or that up is down. And I don't understand it at all, and I don't feel comfortable having that person as our Chief Justice. With that, I yield to Senator Marinoff.
Howdy, Senator Marinoff, engineering. To go off with what Senator Mitchell said. In the last case in G Court where it was decided that Chair Cheshire, who was the finance chair of the previous committee, did not hold a hearing for the finance. J Court should not be known with
Okay, recognition for debate 4, starting with Julia.
Howdy.
Hi.
Rebecca Young, Academic Affairs. I think we've had a really thorough vetting of the justices, even though selfishly I kind of want to go home and work on the homework I have. I think it was really good. It was very important. I think particularly important. And one of the things, I don't remember which of the nominees said it, but that it's one of the cleaner branches of the SGA, right, or the cleanest of the three. And I think that's true. I think it's really important. So I just wanted to speak kind of about like justices in general, and I think we need to consider them holistically as candidates, as nominees. And so I think Chair Sosa was obviously like driving at a point, and several people were with all of their questions and with their debate, and they've raised it. But I kind of think it's wrong to boil down whether or not we're going to confirm someone to that one very particular issue of whether the J Court can issue a writ of mandamus that compels a Senate committee to pass legislation out of committee and into the floor. Like, you can make the case that's important, but I think you need to do that. You need to make the case that that's important. You can't just find one thing and sort of throw sensational black is white, you know, what's going on there, because I really do think Britton Cooper is a highly, highly competent person for this position, and I see him having a lot of potential, and I think he's holistically a great choice for Chief Justice of the Judicial Court. So, I mean, absolutely proving I mean, I don't even think that's going to happen again, not even to say that I might not agree with his position on that, but I don't really see that happening again, and I think he'd be a great choice for Chief Justice, and we should confirm him because of his overall abilities. With that, I'll yield to Senator Flores.
Senator Flores, over to that. Again, I would just like to confirm that I also agree with Chair Young's position, the fact that he has a holistic view, even though he was really here. I mean, he obviously stood for his neutrality. He also mentioned that his voice was not going to be above any one of the other justices. So, although he may be Chief Justice, the way he presented himself, he will actually have no higher power within the court itself. Also, he did mention that he was a textualist several times. So whether the court has the power to write up, dictate a writ of mandamus or not, I think that's an issue, whether it's in the Constitution or not. I don't know. I don't think that's an issue that it's up to him. It'll be if it's in the Constitution or not. And with that, that was the previous question.
Motion for previous question has been made. Is there a second? Yes. All in favor of moving to previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Chair calls the roll division. All in favor of moving to previous question, please stand. Okay. All opposed? Okay, so we will now move into the period of voting. All in favor of confirming written for as Chief Justice of the Judicial Court, please say aye.
Aye.
Please say nay.
Nay. Division.
Division has been called. All in favor of confirming written for Chief Justice of the Judicial Court, please stand.
Point of information, Madam Speaker. This vote require a 2/3 majority.
And it is a majority.
Point word, Madam Speaker.
Are we talking about confirmation as an individual?
You are.
Okay.
That requires 2/3.
All right, so let's move forward.
Thank you.
Stand correct. All right. Okay. All of it. So we'll move forward with the Associate Justice debate, and then concern. Okay, so moving forward with debate for all.
Point of information, I think, what was the count?
The count was 32-14.
That's 2/3.
Okay. All right. So moving forward. All right. So now we're going to move into a period of debate for Ms. Alexander Mueller, Dave Merida, Bethany Bonsu, David Hughes, and Jake Smith. So debate for all the associate justices together. So is there any debate again?
What information?
Yes.
Would a vote for all, for one, constitute a vote for all?
Yes. Okay. So, is there any debate again? All right, seeing that debate is one-sided, we will move forward into a period of vote. All in favor of confirming all 5 of these individuals as associate justices with the Judicial Court, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Yeah.
And now, if you can all raise your hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I,
William Cooper, do solemnly swear. To faithfully execute to the best of my ability.
Faithfully execute to the best of my abilities.
The duties of the office of, state your office.
The duties of the office of Chief Justice.
For the Texas A&M University.
The Texas A&M University student justice.
To uphold the honor of the same.
To uphold the honor of the same.
At all times protect the welfare of the student body.
To at all times protect the welfare of the student body.
And to promote good relations between the students.
To promote good relations between the students.
And those concerned with the university.
And those concerned with the university.
in favor of moving to adjourn, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Yes.
Please, everybody, stay seated. Please do not get up until I dismiss you. SVP Kelly. Howdy. Chief Justice Cooper. Here. Speaker Uyghur.
Howdy.
Myself. Chair Cheshire.
Howdy.
Chair Young.
Howdy.
Chair Felder.
Howdy.
Chair Springer.
Howdy.
Chair Walters. Chair G. Howdy. Chair Sosa.
Howdy.
Senator Boney.
Howdy.
Gordon.
Howdy.
Velasquez.
Howdy.
Brown.
Howdy.
Hahn.
Howdy.
Roderick. French.
Hey, Speaker Pro Tem statement said to specifically stay in order, so please do that.
French. Slusser.
Howdy.
Smith.
Howdy.
Stanberry.
Howdy.
Allen. Cochran. Baltazar. McHewson.
Howdy.
Lerma.
Howdy.
Weatherson. Arafat.
Howdy.
Henderson.
Howdy.
Harris.
Howdy.
Marinoff.
Howdy.
Saka.
Howdy.
Watts.
Howdy.
Westmoreland. Hendricks.
Howdy.
Orana. Simpson. Aguirre.
Howdy.
Lepin. Valentine.
Howdy.
Habib.
Howdy.
Jones.
Howdy.
Roddicker.
Howdy.
Baker.
Howdy.
Houston.
Howdy.
Flores.
Howdy.
Luna. Senator Jackson Alexander.
Howdy.
Senator Leah Alexander.
Howdy.
Barnes. Brock. Brown. Cantwell.
Howdy.
Dang. Davis. Dean. De Leon. Dell. Dewberry.
Howdy.
Dupuy.
Howdy.
Senator Garrett Ford. Garnett. Harmon. Hillen.
Howdy.
Winsley.
Howdy.
Luce.
Howdy.
Miller.
Howdy.
Mitchell.
Howdy.
Murtha. Parks.
Howdy.
Valdez. Wagner.
Howdy. Howdy.
Senator Wilbrecht. Adiemi.
Howdy. Sorry, I'm sorry.
All right, thank you, everyone. You're dismissed.
If anybody would like to hear my response to the application committee number 4, I would love to do that. So if you'd like to stay seated and hear from me, I would love to be able to have the opportunity to do that. However, you have to right to leave. Thank you to those of you who decided to stay. This isn't an official executive report because you all have the ability to leave at any time. However, it's rather frustrating to only be able to give one, and as Kelly is only going to give one, and our Chief Justice will not be able to give one. So there is a reason why this room is reserved till 1 a.m., and it's extremely important to get to those activities before you. whether or not you agree with what I have to say, whether or not you agree with what SVP Kelly has to say, or now Chief Justice, but they are important. There's a reason why we have them. You guys, the precedent has to be set now that moving to adjourn can't be done a lot in the future. It's just because you're tired, you can make it, but I highly, highly, highly recommend don't do that. Because we had committee reports that needed to be made. What if the committees had to tell you the time of their committee meetings? Well, then in that case, because they had not been canceled, all of you would have received now. So please, in the future, don't just, willy-nilly make a motion to adjourn. I understand it's late, and I understand this is a special circumstance, but we can't do that in the future. You signed up for this job. I know there wasn't any specific time. Oh, I will be working on Wednesday nights till 12 in the morning. You signed up to serve a student. And you're doing that by remaining here until closing roll call on the invitation. But I digress. There were several accusations made against my character in open forum, and I'd like to address all of them now. So starting off with first, how in my email that all of you should have read and received, I noted that if you do not attend special session, you will receive 2 absences. And that is absolutely correct. If you don't attend special session, and you don't submit an email, which is what the sentence was right after that, you read my email, and you don't submit an excuse to Speaker Pro Tem Clement, you will receive 2 absences. And so the reason why I said this is because special session, some people, the line is blurred. And so that needed to be said. It's not optional. It is absolutely mandatory. And unless you provide an excuse, you are going to receive 2 absences. That was my point in saying that. If you read the sentence afterwards, it said, however, if you cannot submit excuses to Speaker Pro Tem Clement. Next, I talked about if we do not meet quorum, which we did, so once again, thank you so much. I could paint a picture of what would happen. So when I talked about we would potentially not be able to register for MSD Open House as the branches of SGA. I did not say Senate, I said as the branches, because guess what, people? If we had not met quorum, there would be no judicial court. There can't be a judicial court with only so many justices and without a chief justice. So that, in its nature, was the truth. I actually spoke to our advisor, and the truth is, when it comes to registering for MSC Open House, it's that the executive branch is the one that actually puts the bills for that, and how can we expect Kyle Kelly to have that responsibility when he doesn't even have a VP of Finance at the time? So, seriously, that was 100% true, and I noticed I said we would potentially not be able to register. I did not say we could not register. I'm saying this is our biggest opportunity.